combat Latin American drug traffickers. Trump indicated during a press conference with FBI Director Kash Patel on Wednesday that his administration was looking at land in Latin America after the U.S. military conducted at least 5 fatal strikes against alleged drug boats in the Caribbean since last month. The president also confirmed at the Wednesday press conference he was authorizing intelligence activity by the CIA in Venezuela to help continue the administration's offensive against Latin American drug traffickers. The trans-identification trend among young people appears to be losing momentum. Recent data taken from college campuses shows a sharp decline in the number of Gen Zers identifying as transgender over the past 3 years. Eric Kaufman, a professor of politics at the University of Buckingham, conducted his own analysis of a large survey of U.S. undergraduates, which included a question asking them to identify their gender. Diane Keaton's family revealed the late actress's cause of death on Wednesday. The Keaton family are very grateful for the extraordinary messages of love and support they've received these past few days on behalf of their beloved Diane, who passed away from pneumonia on October 11th, her family shared in a statement to People magazine, and it was picked up by all the news outlets, hence why we're mentioning it now. The family also added she loved her animals and was steadfast in her support of the unhoused community, so any donations in her memory to a local food bank or an animal shelter would be a wonderful, much appreciated tribute to her. Our quote of the day: when we pray, the voice of the heart must be heard more than that proceeding from the mouth. Saint Bonaventure. Coming up, our saint of the day. You're listening to Crusade Channel News.
When most people hear the word coffee, they conjure up visions of a ceramic mug in the palm of both hands and a woman slowly sipping. This isn't a Folgers commercial. It's for Capuchin Holy Roast, and here's how I take mine. With a dash of vanilla, a pinch of cinnamon, a spoonful of honey, and lots of heavy cream. Add some ice, shake, and then enjoy, while knowing that's $6 the libs at Starbucks can't spend to ruin my life and yours.
Capuchin Holy Roast in whole bean or grind is available at shop.mychurch.com. On August 4th, the Crusade Channel will launch Crusade Channel 4.0, and you'll see why.
What in the world? Sorry, I was hanging up the new My Church 4.0 sign. 4.0? When did they even have a 3.0? Am I missing something here?
Buckle up, Speed Demon, because you'll soon discover why Crusade Channel 4.0 roars like the muscle car of media. Rooming past the competition with zero emissions of boredom exclusively on CrusadeChannel.com.
Today's saint of the day is Saint Hedwig, Duchess and widow, the patroness of Silesia, a region of Eastern Europe. Hedwig was born in Bavaria, Germany, the daughter of the Duke of Croatia and Dalmatia. She was the aunt of Saint Elizabeth of Hungary, and at the age of 12, Hedwig was married to Duke Henry of Silesia, the head of the Polish royal family. She bore him 7 children, and they had a happy marriage. Hedwig lost a child who was killed fighting against the Mongols. She died in a convent on October 15th, and many miracles were reported after her death. She was canonized in 1266. Scientists have discovered a massive dark object in space that's completely invisible to the naked eye, according to an awe-inspiring study in the journal Nature Astronomy. The mysterious dark matter, which is yet to be named, reportedly has a mass that is 1,000,000 times greater than the sun, but does not emit light. This intergalactic blind spot reportedly resides over 10 billion light years away, less than half of the planet's current age, according to scientists. Since the dark matter could not be seen, researchers had to observe it via gravitational lensing, in which the light of a more distant object is distorted and deflected by the gravity of said dark entity, like a celestial funhouse mirror. Hunting for dark objects that do not seem to emit any light is clearly challenging, said lead author Devin Powell of the Max Planck Institute of Astrophysics in Germany. Since we can't see them directly, we instead use very distant galaxies as a backlight to look for their gravitational imprints. Discovering clumps are significant because they expand our understanding of dark matter, material that is believed to exist in space, but without visible light to prove it. I'm Janet Huxley for the Crusade Channel, seeking news and finding truth.
Good afternoon, and welcome to the Silk Feather. Ma'am, what would you like to drink?
Oh, I'll take the Dom Perignon, of course.
Ah, the lady has taste. And you, sir?
I'll just take the Diet Coke.
Oh, dear. You know, what I miss about the good old days before social media and AI ruined everything?
Let me guess. No fat people outside of the circus, and Ozempic was the name of a demon in C.S. Lewis story, right?
Well, yeah, but besides that, classic radio shows with actors and actual stories.
Well, lucky for the human race, the Crusade Channel is rolling over 900 episodes of a show called Suspense.
Tweak your mystery-solving muscles over lunch and catch episodes of Suspense, weekdays noon till 2 on the Crusade Channel. Live talk and classic radio the way it should be.
I like my version of suspense. Hey!
Doesn't work without me.
I love the Trump story. You harm one hair on their head, and I'll kill every one of you. No, tell him, translate it. Greetings to Thursday's edition live. Mike Church Show, asking the question of the day.
What in the wide world of sports is going on here?
Well, I'll tell you.
In order to ensure the security and continuing stability, the Republic will be reorganized into the First Galactic Empire. For a safe and secure society.
The thunder will now you got. You tell them I'm coming, and hell's coming with me, you hear? Hell's coming with me!
You know what we didn't do yesterday? We did not run the Apollo 13 countdown to make sure all systems were a go. I knew we had missed something. No, I'm not going to run it today. We'll run it on Monday, God willing, here. Call-in line telephone number if you'd like to be on the program, 844-527-8723, 844-5-CRUSADE. Email address, same as it ever has been. It has actually been used appropriately this week. Who knew? I remain in shock. Maybe, what is a hat trick? Hat trick's when you score 3 goals, right? Maybe this week will be a hat trick week. In any event, I am KingDude at protonmail.com. Crusader Stadium chat room open at crusadechannel.com /chat. We have lots to talk about here today. Let me start by just quickly, because I probably caught half of Martha McCallum's interview with Zoran the Magnificent Kami Mandami yesterday on Fox, which kind of surprised me. But then I watched, 5 minutes. I don't know how long the whole thing was. So I caught 5 minutes of it. Here's the takeaway from it. Here's my thought on it. Barring some disastrous turning event or event that just completely flips the narrative of this election in Utenoq-Teetland City, that guy is going to win. And I'm going to tell you why. So if I didn't know anything about this dude and I was just dropped in from having visited Mars with Elon, and I had not been digesting any American or world news the entire time we occupied Mars, and you just plunked me down in this chair yesterday, you put me in front of a boob tube and turned that on, and I saw that Zoran the Magnificent Kami Mandami, I would say, wow, this guy knows what he's talking about. This dude is smooth. This guy is polished. This guy, man, what a marketable smile. They always come in sheep's clothing, don't they? He did not deny some of the sinister parts of his plan. He kind of stiff-armed on the part about the cops, I thought. But all in all, if I didn't know that dude, if I didn't know him from Adam, I would think, wow, what a dapper, happy, positive. This is what New York City needs. She asked him a question about what is it that's coming to Utenoq-Teetland City? I think it's the World Cup. Is coming to New York in 2029, I think, or 2028. She asked him a question about that, and his answer was, actually, he didn't find anything wrong with his answer. He said that, well, no, we got to make this, we have to make the World Cup so it's an event for New Yorkers. New Yorkers have to take something away from this, and I've never seen Andrew Cuomo debate. I take that back, I have. But it was a long time ago, so I don't have a current reference. But if that is the Mandami, because there's a big hoop-de-doo debate tonight. It's Cuomo, Zoran, the Magnificent Kami Mandami, and Curtis Sliwa. They're going to have a debate tonight. This is interesting. Mandami becomes the demon crap, and Cuomo is the outsider independent. Sliwa is the also-ran Republican. This is like, what, the 30th time Curtis Sliwa has run for mayor? In any event, again, barring a disastrous debate performance, it's going to be a runoff twixt Cuomo and Mandami. I don't think that he'll win at the first go-around, but he's been working on this Manchurian candidate shtick for a long time, and it shows. He's good at it. He's really good at it. So the uninitiative, and most Americans are stupid uninitiated, are going to fall for this dude. They're going to go like, well, let's just give him a chance. The women are going to go, just give him a chance. He smiles, and he looks so happy and looks so positive for our city, and such a good example.
It's the same with Obama, Hope and Change. I said it reminds me of Obama when he came onto the scene with Hope and Change.
Yep, hope. We're going to have change, and we're going to be post-racial purple candidate. And we're going to fix everything and just fix up the country. Yeah, how'd that work out? None of that crap ever comes to fruition. It is, it is the era in which we live, where politics and the discussion of politics is just such a con job. No, flip that coin, flip that story. Go from the Fox News studio where Martha McCallum was interviewing Zoran, the magnificent Kami Mamdani, to Mordor on the Potomac where President Trump was holding court. Yesterday was what did they do yesterday? They had an announcement on something. And he had Kash Patel in there, and Stephen Miller, and Todd Blanche, and Pam Bart. I know they were announcing the results of arrest and how Project, what's it called, Operation Hot Summer? Operation Summer Heat was going, and that the results were in D.C. Violent crime is almost now non-existent in D.C. That's just like not thinkable. No one could possibly have predicted that would happen, or that would actually, at sending the Guard and the troops, that it would actually work out that way. So they're at the beginning of that effort in Memphis. And so they were there to kind of announce some of the details. And of course, Trump conducting this big public spectacle of an interview where all the reporters can ask him questions, and they did. And we got some good sound bites out of it. But here's something that a takeaway from just yesterday, not all of what he's done, but just yesterday. And I go back to what I have been saying about President Trump since 2016 or so, that the dismissal of him as a trust fund baby, silver spoon-fed doofus who just got money from his daddy and accomplished absolutely nothing in his life, and everything just was given to him, it does not jibe with the actual story of the dude, of the man, and his command of how just, like Mitter Mundy likes to say, why things work. So there was a discussion about, aren't you afraid that you saying these things about your political enemies, that this is just too much over the top, and fascism and Nazism, and it's never been done. No one's ever done anything to their opponents like you have, sir. To which President Trump went, excuse me, no one's ever done anything to their political opponent. You know my boy Eric, do you know Eric Trump? He's a good boy. He really is. He's a good boy. And do you know who holds the Guinness Book of World Records for having been subpoenaed by the government of the United States? Here, who holds the record? My boy Eric. What did he do? Nothing. He did absolutely nothing. You have these corrupt, shifty Adam, you have Schiff and Hillary and all the rest of them. They cooked up this Russia hoax, and my boy Eric had to pay for it. He was in court 1,281 times. 1,000. The boy spent his life in court, and you want to sit there and lecture me about political enemies, about making political enemies and going after your enemies? I haven't done any of that. They did it to me. Okay? No, I'm talking here. Shut up, I'm talking. I just, his command of he knew everything that they had done to his son, but I very much appreciate, and I think all of you guys out there that are dads, whether you like Trump or not, should very much appreciate that you're not going to talk about, don't you dare come in my little house here and try and talk to me about right and wrong. After I know, and so does everyone else in this room, what you tried to do to my family, to my boys. He said, then he went on to say, Donald, he said, Don, my son Don, called me and said, Dad, I don't know anything about Russia. Why am I being subpoenaed about Russia? What did I do? Dad, what's going on here? You know, when you put it in that perspective that the Trumps were trying to right what they thought, were doing what they thought would right a wrong. Again, regardless of what you think about that, and whether or not he sold out to the Khazarians and the rest of the Israel First mob and all that, he did get into it, and he did throw away, or pretty much give away, a life that would be, and it still is, if he wanted to take it back, the envy of all the rest of the free world. You could be a Trump, and you didn't know him as president, you'd probably be a Trump. And you'd go like, well, they want to have this, or man, look at the lifestyles of the rich and famous, was the television show. But his knowledge of what has been, of what they try to do to him, and then they could pivot right into that with crime stats in Memphis and in D.C. and in Chicago. We'll talk about it as the program continues to get underway here today. By the way, speaking of Khazarians and Israel Firsters, those entities that have been bought and paid for by said Israel Firsters have thrown their media properties into overdrive. Engines that were only built to go 6,000 RPM are going 7,000. As the narrative, as the Israel hegemony begins to just like sand going between their fingers, they are desperately trying to keep this war, that war, alive. Every single... I saw a headline yesterday, and I went, really? That's what you got? There's something about how one of the hostages that was returned was not in the proper container, and Israelites are furious. And they're saying if that's how you're going to play it, then we're going to go back to war. Because the body bag didn't have the right stitches on it? This is how desperate they are. Israel is saying that the terms of the agreement are not being met to the letter, and at any moment they're going to end the ceasefire. Now, I'm going to tell you one reason why they are not going to end the ceasefire, and the primary reason is that Trump is not going to let them. I imagine that somewhere along the line, the command was, or the order was handed out, don't do it. You're going to take the deal that I made for you, and you're going to take it, and that's it. I don't want to hear about any of the rest. You had your chance. It's over. Now, he still is filled with bravado to say that, no, if they break it, then if they don't surrender their arms, then we'll go take them from them. That's just a strong guy playing the strong man hand. That's how you handle it. You don't go and say, well, we'll go back to the negotiating table. No. Just like he told... Just like he told the Taliban guy in negotiating, we might want to have a base back in Afghanistan. And the Taliban says something to the effect of, we can't guarantee their safety, or we don't know how that's going to work out for your people. Safety-wise, we'll play that when we get to the clips. And then he said, let me tell you, you harm one hair on their heads. One. And it was Trump quoting Francis from Stripes. You harm one hair on any of their heads, and I'll kill you. And then the translator looks at Trump like, what do you want me to do with that? And he goes, tell him what I just said. And the translator starts to tell him, and then Trump reaches into his pocket, and he pulls out a satellite image, a photograph, printed on a piece of paper, of the head of the Taliban's house with the latitude, longitude, minutes, the exact coordinates on it. And he hands it to him, and he goes, and just walks out the room. He hands him the picture, just walks out the room. We'll talk more about that. There was a major hearing yesterday in the Supreme Court. Now, this is promising. So two major cases that have come out of the SCOTUS regarding the 14th Amendment. The first was, of course, the Dobbs case. The other was whether there was basically the voting rights or the case where you can't use the 14th Amendment to suspend a candidate from the ballot saying that he's violated the 14th Amendment. This is probably going to be the third, and if this one goes down in flames, and based on the arguments yesterday, I think it probably is. That would just seem to me then to tee up what I think is the most important case the SCOTUS could ever hear, given the current circumstances the American people find themselves in today. Now, I know many just want to secede, and that's fine. Again, I think that a better form of government is in the offing sometime in the not too distant or very near future. Having said that, while you're stuck with this one, there's certain things that have to be repaired that have been destroyed by the Democrat Party and their allies in the Republican Party or in the Uniparty. One of those things is this god-awful abomination called birthright citizenship. Birthright citizenship. Why is it god-awful? Why is it an abomination? Because there's no such thing. There never has been. The 14th Amendment does not say that. No act of Congress has ever codified that. So how in the hell did we arrive at the situation where women who are citizens of foreign lands, all they have to do is somehow manage to get their birth canal over the U.S. border, whether it's Canadian-U.S. border or Mexican-U.S. border. The other half of their body can be in Mexico. As long as the birth canal is in the United States, then that kid's an American citizen by birth. Nothing so preposterous, so sinister, and so ridiculous has ever been said by a man under democratic government. Hell, under royal governments. The reason I give the example that I give, why do you have to give the example? It's so vulgar, it's so crude. It illustrates it very well, does it not? Everything above the belly button is in Mexico. Everything below the belly button is in the U.S., and that kid is an American citizen. And the birthing woman, the mother, is a citizen, let's just say Mexico. Why would that? So if you reversed it, and everything above the navel was in Texas, and everything below the navel was in the Rio Grande side of Mexico, then that would be an American. So in other words, if you just kind of spun her around, that would make it's so stupid and ridiculous. Well, after the gerrymandering case was heard yesterday, and I think that this is a big one. We'll talk more about it when we come back.
For 9 years now, Brother Andre Marie's Reconquest has been your source for best in Catholic philosophy, history, and saints.
Well, I'm the new gal at this monastery, and Jiminy Christmas, after 4 years of auto pens, social media heresy, I could use some Catholic philosophy.
Well, call yourself a blessed girl, because new episodes debut Wednesdays at 8 Central, and there's over 475 podcasts available on the Crusade Channel, our app, and always on CrusadeChannel.com. Live talk and educational radio.
The way it should be.
Listen up, Red, White, and Dude Nation fans. Now, if you wear one new t-shirt this spring, then make sure you pour yourself into a new Mike Church Show neon microphone t-shirts. Printed on beautiful 100% soft cotton tees, the logo's so cool. It's even more cool than burning Unburdened by What Has Been stickers. Available in sizes medium through Alvin Bragg sized 3X. Be the best dressed dude at your cigar shop or the coolest dressed gal at Junior's soccer match. Order today at shop.mikechurch.com. Hello, Crusaders. I'm Janet Huxley at the Crusade Channel News Desk with your Crusade Crucials for Thursday, October 16th, 2025. This report is brought to you by Capuchin Holy Roast Coffee, a blend personally crafted by Mike Church, made from South American and Africa's finest gourmet coffee beans and roasted to perfection. Available in whole bean or ground. Pick up a bag or 6 today at shop.mikechurch.com. In the market report, the Dow was down just slightly, 0.04%, the S&P up 0.40%, and the Nasdaq was up 0.66%. Today is National Dictionary Day. On October 16th, we define the celebration as a commemoration of the birthday of Noah Webster and emphasize the importance of learning while using dictionary skills and increasing one's vocabulary. It was in 1806 that American Noah Webster published his first dictionary, a compendious dictionary of the English language. It's also National Liqueur Day and Get Smart About Credit Day, and then National Department Store Day lends itself well there. National Bosses Day and Get to Know Your Customers Day, and it's National Sports Day. Our quote of the day: when we pray, the voice of the heart must be heard more than that proceeding from the mouth. Saint Bonaventure. And our saint of the day is Saint Hedwig. You're listening to Crusade Channel News.
It's the I Love Lee Show, starring Lee, with special guest Jim.
Come on, dude, pick up.
Jim's Bait Shop.
Very boomer funny of you.
Yeah, I thought so too. What's up?
What was the name of the live talk radio thingy? You know, that show with the holy guy you were telling me about?
Talk radio, holy guy. I'm sure I have no idea.
Yeah, the guy's name rhymed with Lurch. He was talking about being holy or something.
Talking about... Oh, you mean Mike Church. He's not trying to be holy.
Yeah, he's also not trying to fake being holy. Anyway, I just came from the Lila Rose 2-for-1 podcast promotion, and I didn't make a dent in one, much less get two, and I need something cool to listen to on the 6-hour drive I have coming up.
Well, the KingDude's got you covered there.
So, you got the deets?
No, but my dad had shingles.
Ugh, you're such a boomer! Deets, as in details, as in where and when do I find this guy?
I'm not a boomer, and his podcast is hiding in plain sight at this thing called a website at crusadechannel.com.
Why can't he just have a QR code?
Yeah. Want me to come over there and type that in for you, Zoomer?
The Crusade Channel 4.0, one of life's simple pleasures.
Yeah, like hearing a tree beginning its journey to the paper mill.
Like paper over plastic, some things like the Crusade Channel.
And good old-fashioned live talk radio.
Never go out of style at crusadechannel.com.
Speaking of out of style, Jim, we need to talk about your hair.
What's the matter with my hair?
The 80s hair metal band's called, and they want their style back.
Really?
I got a bad case of loving you. No pill's gonna kill my heel. I got a bad case of loving you.
How you doing? Thursday edition Mike Church Show here, the fastest 3 hours in all of broadcast media. Coming at you at the speed of truth. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at mypillow.com/KingDude. You know, everywhere that I travel, I should just send notes out and request that before I arrive, you need to go to mypillow.com/KingDude and make sure that you have my pillows on my bed so that my head gets a decent night's, well, not a decent night, the best night's sleep in the whole wide world. So I failed to do so, but I am always glad to return to Chez Michel here so that I have my pillows from mypillow.com/KingDude. Shipping is free on orders over $75 or more. So if you're looking for early Christmas gifts and you have the health of someone in mind, consider a My Pillow, or a set of my sheets or my towels or a pair of my slippers, all at the same great store, mypillow.com/KingDude. Make sure that you use the coupon code KingDude at checkout or shop from our page, mypillow.com/KingDude. Interesting story by Brad Berzer today at the Imaginative Conservative website. I don't think that you did. But it's okay. I have it open. Let me see. Well, he's mainly talking about, he's not really talking about the Fantastic Four. I mean, he mentions them, but then he goes on to talk about some 1960s space magazine. He talks about Marvel's most recent movie, The Fantastic Four, was brilliant and spirited defense of the dignity of human life and of the essential goodness of the family. Fascinatingly, its aesthetic was retro, that of the 1960s. That is a look at the future as if the future had been envisioned in the 60s. Buildings and cars are rounded and sleek, looking like something at a World's Fair at Disney's Epcot Center. You remember back in the day when Epcot was like the coolest place in the world? Why'd you want to go to Disney World? Well, some people wanted to go for a magic Cinderella's castle or whatever. Others wanted to go because this is an interesting little thing here. Somebody was talking about this at St. Benedict Center Conference. Maggie O'Connell has talked about this recently. What did downtown Park City, Utah remind you of?
Reminded me of one of those fake made-up towns in Universal Studios.
Right.
And Disney.
Or at Disney. Or at Disney, like you would see at, if you go to Disneyland. What's that?
It looked like a scene built for a Hallmark movie.
So, in other words, it kind of looked fake. Looked like, oh, this is how you imagine America and Americana. And if you go to Park City, Utah, and what she's mainly talking about is the facades of the buildings. That they do. They look like something out of, like, if Universal, they're going to have a perfect little hamlet, circa mid 1950s, early mid 1970s, downtown, small town America hamlet. It's going to look like this. You know, and they have the Cooper is the font. They use Cooper as the... I know this, my friends, because I am a commercial artist with a degree. Don't mess with me. Sometimes they use Cooper as a font. They use Hoedown as another font. These are just these are wider, broader, kind of bubbly, happy America fonts. Not to say you can't use them in Europe, because they have. In any event, Charles Coulombe, in his talk at the St. Benedict Center, brought this up. And he said most people think that Walt was our enemy, and maybe Walt was in some things. But one of the things that Walt was trying to present at Disneyland, because remember, Disneyland came first, and then it was Disney World. Remember that Disney World was broken up into different worlds. There was Frontierland. And then Charles went into a couple other ones. And during the Q&A, I told him about your experience in Park City, Utah. And someone else mentioned somewhere else. The interesting thing was, or just to tie the whole thing together, is that there was an idea in many Americans' mind on what a successful, attractive, as in inviting, small town in America might look like. Well, apparently Walt Disney took some interest in this and thought that Main Street USA should kind of reflect that. Remember when we used to go to, in Williamsburg, Virginia, used to go to Busch Gardens. And Busch Gardens, the Williamsburg Park, they divided it into, you could go to Germany, you could go to France, or you could go to Spain. The reason that this is done ostensibly is because your mind and your intellect think that good, flourishing, happy people occupied that attractive, inviting facade of a city. Yes, thank you, Buckshot. Buckshot agrees. If y'all couldn't hear that, girl, I don't know how. If y'all couldn't hear that snore that he just exhaled, I don't know how you could have missed it. But I think it was an approval snore. Translation, people are not, by and large, running around aspiring for more misery outside of certain chat rooms. Humans don't do well and don't flourish in miserable conditions. Now, heroes come out of miserable conditions, and there are tales of courage. But it's not. You don't live your life so that you know what. I want my children to grow up in a dysfunctional town where it's dark, and it's always overcast and raining, and the streets are always filled with mud. And if you step off the sidewalk, your shoes get all clogged up, and there's mildew all over the white parts of the building, etc., etc. I believe this is what Berzer is referring to here. And I don't think that ever went out of style in most Americans' minds either, which is why Walt Disney and others try to recreate it, to put you in that frame of mind. Oh, this is good. And happy times. Oh, no, we're all neighbors. We're all friends, whether or not we actually are. Now, I can tell you right now, I am playing with career fire here by even reading a paragraph from Brad Berzer. Some of you will remember in the old station in the old country that I used to say if I would read anything Berzer-like, then we would say for the next hour or two, the Berzer effect would be in effect. What does that mean? People were so dazed and we're still trying to process the intellectual brilliance and profundity of what had been said by yours truly, mainly reading whatever Berzer or someone like Berzer had written, that you were just left speechless, dumbfounded, just in a whimsical world of what if. So I know that if I start reading from Berzer here, that any chance that we have of communicating with anyone, breaking the gree-gree on donations today or anything of the sort is toast. We're going to get any comments. Certainly not going to get any calls. No one's going to make a donation probably for 3 months. So I'm taking our very lives into our hands by mentioning and reading from Berzer. But I don't care. I'm going to do it anyway. Fascinatingly, he says the aesthetic that he's talking about the Fantastic Four movie. Its aesthetic was retro of that of the 1960s. That is a look at the future, as if the future had been envisioned in the 1960s. Buildings and cars are rounded and sleek, looking like something at World's Fair or at a Disney Epcot Center. That's what started me on the whole. Remember when Epcot Center used to be cool? Why did you want to go to Epcot Center as a young person or as a children's? Because, man, they had things of the future there. They had the space, what do they call the space rail, right? Space Mountain. You go ride the Space Mountain. You could see the how things in the 1980s, how things were going to turn, or even in the late 70s, how things were going to turn out in Tomorrowland. Remember, before he built his own place, it was Michael Jackson's favorite place was to go to Epcot Center. I seem to recall there were even television commercials where Michael Jackson was in Epcot Center. Metal and glass blend seamlessly into one another, and everything is sleek, shiny, and classy. Why do I bring this up? Well, you should see the Fantastic Four. Now my favorite of the Marvel movies, but you should also pick up a copy of Futuristic: Rockets, Robots, and Ray Guns of Space-Age Pop Culture, due out in late October from Tomorrow's Publishing by the extremely talented Mark Vogler. Now, I have not seen the book, but the cover is cool. It's really cool. A decade or so older than yours truly, Vogler is the best pop culture historian out there. Not only does he write captivatingly, but he lays out all his books in a way that never fails to astonish me. And then he says he proudly owns some of his other works. Futuristic might very well be Vogler's best, and that's saying something profound. Like the recent Fantastic Four movie, Vogler explores what might have been had the 1950s and 1960s shaped the aesthetic of spaceflight and the space age. The book, simply put, is retro. A nostalgic celebrations of the space age and all its hope and optimism for a better and more humane world. That's an interesting proposition. That the space race, as they called it, or back in the day, space age, that I grew up, and it was called the space age. You know, in the space age, you got your first radar range, what you call a microwave today. Now today, if you have a microwave, you're an enemy of the state because it's a Khazarian plant there to neuter you and to make you impotent and to mind control you. You didn't know that all that was programmed into your whirlpool, did you? You didn't know that the Israelis and Mossad had gotten a hold of all of the blueprints and plans for the microwave and had adjusted all the frequencies just so to turn all of us that use microwaves into quivering mines of blubbering gray matter. You're doing, come on, TKD, not even your people are. No, I've heard it, dude. I've actually heard it. I actually had somebody that was a guest at this house one time, who when they got here, and this is no joke, actually asked me to unplug the microwave. I'm like, why? Don't you know it's emitting strange waves right now, and it's brainwashing all of us? I'm like, into what? Saying the rosary? That's why you're here. Start doing the saying the rosary, dude. They're messing with our minds. Could you please just unplug it? I'm like, no, I'm not unplugging it. Besides the fact I had to get a ladder because it's plugged into the top on top of the cabinet on top of the stove. Such is the age in which we live. Watch, somebody's going to go in the chat room and go, oh, that was me. A decade or so older than all right, here's where he gets interesting. Captivatingly, Vogler begins the book by remembering a coffee cake meeting with his mom, to which he was dragged along as a 4-year-old, plopped in front of the TV as a babysitter so that the housewives could talk. What is that? Housewives. And why are they meeting to talk? Oh, they're planning the end. Vogler encountered his first glimpse of space, a bizarre French film, silent no less, from the early part of the 20th century called A Trip to the Moon. In the film, a rocket embeds itself into the moon, a human face dressed up to look like gooey cheese. Vogler, not surprisingly, was amused and repulsed by the film. Regardless, it led him to a lifelong love of all things science fiction. Science fiction! Following this, Vogler recounts his memories of the 1962 Cuban Missile Crisis, the 1964 World's Fair in New York, and the first episode of the TV show Lost in Space. You know, when I was a little children, my brothers and sisters and neighbors and I would play Lost in Space. Seriously, everyone pick a role. You know, you could be Dr. Robinson, you could be Don, you could be Penny, you could be, I forget what the older sister is, you could be Mom, you could be Will Robinson, you could be the robot, you could be Dr. Smith. The great, Zachary, what was his last name? One of his last roles, he was in A Bug's Life. He was the praying mantis. He did the voice of the praying mantis in A Bug's Life. He was like, and now I shall show to you. A great character actor. In any event, Vogel also fondly remembers the TV show The Land of the Giants. So do I. And the DC comic book Metal Men. Most sources identify the space age as commencing in 1957 and culminating in 1969 with the moon landing. I'm aligned with those who think the space age more as a state of mind. It was this sometimes bizarre, sometimes funny, sometimes anxious period that overlapped with the atomic age, which itself began with two terrible events, that was Hiroshima and Nagasaki. These ages are inexorably linked. The atomic age was problematic at its core, with the promise of atomic power overshadowed by the threat of atomic weapons. In contrast, the space age struck a more hopeful note, even a patriotic one. We just beat those Ruskies to the moon. And then he continues, he's writing about this as Brad Berzer, the Imaginative Conservative, writing about a book coming out called Futuristic, and about the new, and it's out on video now, you can rent it now, the Fantastic Four movie, what people at the Federalist.com said was the most pro-life movie that they had ever seen. Futuristic insightfully examines the origins of the genre of science fiction. Early science fiction, such as Metropolis and Things to Come, and the conniving Lyndon B. Johnson's horrific and unfairly dismal commercial against Barry Goldwater in 1964. Anybody remember the name of that commercial? Anybody old enough to remember the name? That commercial had a name. LBJ's commercial against an age that would be run by a sinister Republican madman like Barry Goldwater. The operative title of the commercial was Daisies, if I recall. Vogel writes, the ad was so shocking and so effective that the strong and immediate response it garnered drove Johnson's team to pull it off the air. The campaign ran Daisy once, but it has never been forgotten. Vogel expertly blends pop culture, high culture, and political culture into one as he continues to examine anti-communism in the era with the shock of Russia's first successful satellite, Sputnik. He also examines a number of TV shows from the era, perhaps most importantly, The Twilight Zone, The Outer Limits, Star Trek, the most artistic of pop culture's manifestations of the space age. Isn't it interesting that Star Trek, which is unabashedly a child of the space age and of the hope that you should have gotten out of the space age, until the conspiracy wackos came along and screwed everything up. Star Trek is still with us today. The heirs of Roddenberry are on iteration number, 12, 13 now. They haven't made a movie in a while, but they've had recent TV series, and sometimes they get it wrong, like the last one that Scamazon tried to throw up with the woke Asian female captain of the world or queen of the world or whatever, was so awful. A trekker like me, I didn't even make it to the pilot. I was about halfway through going, nope, I can see where this is going, pulled plug. And so did everyone else. Almost everyone else went, nope, not interested, and pulled the plug. Let's skip ahead to Berzer's conclusion of why we went through all this. Again, I can't stress enough how much I like Vogel's books, and especially Futuristic. As it turns out, I'm working on a book for Creed and Culture Books on Bradbury's Prophet of the Space Age, which will come out in 2028. Even though I wasn't born until 67, I too long for the space age of my earliest childhood, and I still repeatedly make my older brothers tell me their memories of the moon landing as they stayed up late and watched it turned on their porch lights to let the astronauts know we loved them. Why would you do that? They were on a back lot at Paramount in Hollywood. They couldn't see your porch light in Peoria, you idiot! So say the doomsayers. I was too young to understand this then, but futuristic helps me imagine just what Americans were so enthusiastic and patriotic about. Oh, yeah, we did beat the Ruskies as well. I think again, that to live in an age that is not filled with dystopia would be a good thing. And that you don't, and I, don't help the current situation by giving in to the dystopian desires of the bad guys and just assuming because they fantasized it with Beelzebub, Baphomet, Bagul, and the boys that they're going to be successful. And I think that there is look, you got to deal with reality. You don't have the money to pay your bills, you got to find a way to do it. It's not to say that you slough off reality and that there aren't sinister bad people out there, because there are. I keep running into people who are so assured, they are convinced, and it doesn't matter what happens between now and then. This is already chiseled. How many of you remember the old TV show Vanity film at the end of TV shows? It was made by this company called Mark V or Mark VII. You'd see a piece of granite, and then a hand would come in with a chisel-looking thing, and then a hammer would come in and would whack the chisel, and you pull the chisel away, and he had just chiseled Mark VII into the granite. Well, that's what the dystopian lunatics are telling us has been done with the evil designs that are made for all of us. Have they?
You may not believe it, but Bram Stoker's Dracula may be a work of non-fiction.
What? That's scarier than getting stuck in an elevator with Jasmine Crockett.
Oh, good grief. Really? Come on, I'm trying to be serious here. Okay.
Hear it and other amazing tales on Turley's Believe It or Else, 10 to 11 a.m. Central, every Tuesday on the Crusade Channel. Our app and always on crusadechannel.com. Live talk and podcast radio.
The way it should be.
Have you ever dreamed of being like Brian Kay or Mitter Monday and being a free Farm Friday star? But you know you have no shot at it because you can't tell the difference between a U and a Y-O-U. Well, lucky for you, we have an entire bookstore filled with the books you need to become so passionate for farming, you'll soon be wearing a Brian Kay Calls Me for Advice t-shirt. So learn to grow by growing your library with books by shopping at shop.mikechurch.com.
Let's do it! You gotta beat the clock, you gotta beat the clock. You can boogie, love the disco sound. Move on your body, spinning round and round. But don't forget, oh no. Don't forget, oh no. The stars on 45 keep on turning in your mind. But we can work it out. Remember, twist and shout. You still don't tell me why, and no reply.
Good afternoon, and welcome to the Silk Feather. Ma'am, what would you like to drink?
Oh, I'll take the Dom. The Dom Perignon, of course.
Ah, the lady has taste. And you, sir? I'll just take the Diet Coke.
Oh, dear.
You know, what I miss about the good old days before social media and AI ruined everything?
Let me guess. No fat people outside of the circus, and Ozempic was the name of a demon in C.S. Lewis story, right?
Well, yeah, but besides that, classic radio shows with actors and actual stories.
Well, lucky for the human race, the Crusade Channel is rolling over 900 episodes of a show called Suspense.
Tweak your mystery-solving muscles over over lunch and catch episodes of Suspense, weekdays noon till 2 on the Crusade Channel. Live talk and classic radio the way it should be.
I like my version of suspense. Hey!
Doesn't work without me.
Hey, it's the King Dude with another free lesson in stuff you really don't need to know. Harvest was Great Britain's name for the season that follows summer until autumn began to displace it at the end of the 16th century. But English immigrants to America preferred fall to autumn. And did you know that fall is caused by the sun setting below the equator in the northern hemisphere sky, also known as the equinox, which continues south to the winter solstice. Here's another seasonal fact for you. The flag of the Sacred Heart of Jesus is also known as the Carillon de Sacre-Cœur, or the original flag of Quebec. And did you know that our founder's Trading Post is the exclusive maker and distributor of this one-of-a-kind, full-size, beautiful flag? Order a Sacred Heart flag right now and take $5 off, and I'll throw in a matching Sacred Heart flag bumper sticker for free. You know, don't cost nothing. Hurry, fall is here, and flag flying season in the north is limited. To order, go to mikechurch.com/flag or call us at 844-527-8723. The Carillon de Sacre-Cœur flag will beautify any indoor or outdoor space it flies in, but supplies are limited. So order today at mikechurch.com/flag or call us 844-527-8723. The Crusade Channel and the slaves of the Immaculate Heart of Mary's Sisters present the Saint of the Day.
Hello, Crusaders. This is Sister Mary Joseph with your Saint of the Day. Today is October 16th, the feast of Saint Gerard Majella. He died in 1755. Saint Gerard was a poor boy of southern Italy. His great loves were the Blessed Sacrament, Our Lady, and the Crucifix. He used to say, quote, "Suffer only for God, and your suffering will bring you heaven on earth," end quote. He tried to become a Capuchin friar, but was refused on account of his ill health. The Order of Redemptorists took him when he was 23. He lived with them as a lay brother, and his obedience to his superiors was the most exemplary in the history of that order. Every moment not given to work, he spent in adoration of the Most Blessed Sacrament. He was, by his prayers, a great missioner and converted hundreds of sinners to repentance. Saint Gerard Majella died at the age of 29, and along with Saint Alphonsus Maria de Liguori, Saint Clement Mary Hofbauer, and Saint John Neumann, is one of the 4 saints of the Redemptorist order. Today is also the feast of Saint Hedwig, who died in 1243. Saint Hedwig was the aunt of Saint Elizabeth of Hungary. She was a queen. She did much to foster convents for the consecration to Jesus and Mary of young Catholic girls. She herself became a nun in her widowhood. She was canonized 23 years after her death. Saint Hedwig, pray for us. Saint Gerard Majella, pray for us. Thank you for joining us for this brief summary of the lives of today's saints. Tomorrow is the feast of Saint Margaret Mary Alacoque. To access all of our Saints of the Day recordings as podcasts, head to crusadechannel.com/saints. You can learn more about our sisters and the building of our convent by visiting stphilomenaconvent.org. I am Sister Mary Joseph, and until next time, may God bless and Mary keep you.
When most people hear the word coffee, they conjure up visions of a ceramic mug in the palm of both hands and a woman slowly sipping. This isn't a Folgers commercial. It's for Capuchin Holy Roast, and here's how I take mine. With a dash of vanilla, a pinch of cinnamon, a spoonful of honey, and lots of heavy cream. Add some ice, shake, and then enjoy, while knowing that's $6 the libs at Starbucks can't spend to ruin my life and yours.
Capuchin Holy Roast in whole bean or grind is available at shop.mychurch.com. On August 4th, the Crusade Channel will launch Crusade Channel 4.0, and you'll see why.
What in the world? Sorry, I was hanging up the new Mike Church 4.0 sign. 4.0? When did they even have a 3.0? Am I missing something here?
Buckle up, Speed Demon, because you'll soon discover why Crusade Channel 4.0 roars like the muscle car of media. Rooming past the competition with 0 emissions of boredom exclusively on crusadechannel.com.
Back in the 90s, there was this thing called the cigar boom, where everyone was buying and smoking handmade cigars. But here's the thing. The popular cigars then were the best-made cigars, like Fuente, Joya de Monterrey, and Avo. Over the next 10 years, craftsmanship was replaced by gimmick and slick packaging, and that's when I decided to get in the business and launched El Rey Dude Corona cigars. 20 years later, I launched Manchipio Maria cigars with that same principle in mind. Make a great handmade cigar, and that's exactly what we do in 4 sizes. I invite you to try a 4-pack sampler of my Manchipio Maria cigars and taste them for yourself in smooth, natural, or bold Maduro wrappers. And to sweeten the deal, I've discounted them 25% for a limited time. And as always, we include a personal humidifier with every order. To order, go to shop.mikechurch.com. Order $50 or more, and shipping is on me. Try my Manchipio Maria cigars today at shop.mikechurch.com.
For 9 years now, Brother Andre Marie's Reconquest has been your source for best in Catholic philosophy, history, and saints.
Well, I'm the new gal at this monastery, and Jiminy Christmas, after 4 years of auto pens, social media heresy, I could use some Catholic philosophy.
Well, call yourself a blessed girl, because new episodes debut Wednesdays at 8 Central, and there's over 475 podcasts available on the Crusade Channel, our app, and always on CrusadeChannel.com. Live talk and educational radio.
The way it should be.
Coming aboard the freight train of truth is leaving MAGA Station. Soon it's going to be leaving SCOTUS Station. Mike Church Show here is on the Crusade Channel, cruising towards year number 10 here on the Crusade Channel. It's not the Crusade Radio Network anymore, by the way. It is the Crusade Channel, as it always hath been. Now, if you want to take part in, or you want to pick the program up as part of your network, the syndication stuff is still there, and you're free to do so, and I hope that you will. Call in line, telephone number 844-527-8723, 8445 Crusader Stadium chat room open at crusadechannel.com/chat. Looks like, are we still betting goose eggs on donations today?
From this morning? Yeah.
It looks like
Zero.
What is going on here?
0.
I have no idea. We are having a new episode of Thursday Night Throwdown tonight. Is tonight going to be the last Thursday night? The latest episode of Moms, Murders, and Mysteries will get released at the end of this show today at 10 a.m. That's episode number 11. Jeff Davis 8, part number 2 is coming out. Is it going to be the last one? Well, with the reception fundraising has gotten since August here, folks, I don't know. CrusadeChannel.com/donate. If you'd care to make a contribution and get us off of goose eggs today, donate links are in the chat room, top and bottom. Let's see, what else is going on here today? Okay, we got that. Let's do some digital media files. Now, let me go back to the SCOTUS thing real quick. Maggie is asking me the question, when did birthright citizenship start? I do not know. I am not sure. I do know that there was a case, well, I can tell you that most people are going to answer the question. Supreme Court case Wong versus Kim Ark is when the court ruled on something. The court ruled it's a done deal. They ruled on birthright citizenship. They did not. That is not a birthright citizenship case. It was a case that had other parameters to it and is much more complicated than that. It probably had more to do with the uniform rule of naturalization than it did with birthright citizenship. But it just kind of started. When the leftards started building their socialist, liberal social welfare network empire of dependence, empire of slaves. You know, somebody made the point yesterday. This is a really good point. I should have made it. Maybe I didn't. I just don't remember. Most of the people that are supposedly experience the most amount of pain. Oh, William, the pain. Over the government shutdown are creatures that were created by the Great Society, by the war on poverty, by basically the establishment of a feckless, worthless, useless slave class of individuals, formerly Americans, that were so stupid, so ignorant, so fat, so lazy, so unskilled, so oppressed and beaten down by Whitey, they had no chance of even surviving without the Democrats and programs. And so, if you fast forward 50 years or so, then you get multiple generations of people that have lived in these god-awful things, these government and man-made slums called Section 8 housing, for example. Who in their right mind would wish for anyone to live in a Section 8 housing district? You know what you get in a Section 8 housing district? Death. You know what you get in a Section 8 housing district? Fatherless families that don't have dads, fatherless families and what have you here. But somebody was making the point that, look, almost all of these creatures that you're now blubbering and crying crocodile tears for in the streets, all of these downtrodden and people that are now being dismissed and are not being funded and are therefore hand them out. You know, they're in the streets in San Francisco panhandling for a can of Spam. Who created that? Who created that kind of Slavic dependency? Democrats. Democrats. The Democrat Party created that as an entire voting bloc, which is why every year you have to, if you're one of them, either give them permission to lie and vote for you, or you have to trudge off to your Section 8 polling place in an inner city somewhere, and you have to reelect them, or else the party ends. The problem is, it doesn't seem like much of a party. You know, if I were to spin up Cypress Hill's Gangsta's Paradise, is that a happy tale? Is Gangsta's Paradise a tale of the joy of living in an inner city? You tell me. So much of the misery then, like, dude, you guys created this. All we're now seeing is the result of what you created and what happens if you take the candy away from the baby. You know, if I was the baby, I might be a little bit resentful, unless it dawned on me that, but wait a minute now, do I want to pass this on to the next generation? Isn't that interesting? That while you're hearing arguments in the Supreme Court from Ketanji Brown Jackson. By the way, her argument is the most insipid, vapid, stupid. I don't even know how this woman became a Judge Wapner is a Dershowitz compared to her. struggling for a name, and F. Lee Bailey. Judge Judy is a Clarence Thomas compared to Ketanji Brown Jackson. As a matter of fact, Maggie, why don't you play that stupid argument? It's so ridiculous. Well, the number 6. Start with number 6. By the by, a couple of small little political things to talk about quickly. One,
Democrats suck.
it is. Maddie says Democrats suck. True. They do. There's a new poll out. Where'd you get the stats on Hakeem Jeffries, who is... Okay, Axios is reporting today. I think that the fix is in and that Hakeem Jeffries is done. The Democrats have gone to their standby people in the left-hard meeting and said, look, we got to get rid of this guy, and we don't know how to do it. So you're going to have to do it. You're going to have to leak this thing out for us. You put it in the chat room?
I did earlier.
Hold on. I'm probably hours behind, and I didn't see it. I mean, I heard you giving me the numbers. How far up do I got to scroll? Where are we? Dude, I'm like a half an hour ago. Okay, here it is. Eric Doherty. Here it is. Axios reporting. Hakeem is running his party into the ground, and candidates are embarrassed to support him. 20 of them said they wouldn't vote for Jeffries as Speaker or Minority Leader, with 5 more saying they weren't likely to vote against. They were likely to vote against him. Another 57 candidates declined to comment to supporting Jeffries. What is happening here is Nancy Pelosi's DEI hire is just that. He is a DEI hire. And even the Democrats don't want to go down in flames as a result of a DEI hire sinking them to the bottom of the Potomac. Isn't that interesting? No, look, we don't mind losing. Oh, yeah, you do. What is also happening out there is the specter of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez pretending as though she just, I'm just a bimbo. Oh, look. Just pretending as though she knows, she's like Sergeant Schultz. I know not sink. When in fact, she's been powing around with Bernie Sanders. What are you doing? Hey, stop that. All of that. You're playing for the wrong team. I think what's happening is that, and AOC is being asked, are you like engineering a coup to take over minority leadership from Hakeem? Oh, no, I'm not even like smart enough to do that and stuff. I think that what is obviously happening here is that internally the Democrat Party has a war going on, and the ones that are in elected power are committed leftists. They are committed. They're not socialist folks. Those are nice people. These people are communist. They are committed leftists. And they don't mind telling, or they don't mind taking a shot at turning the Democrat Party. Exactly what I've been telling you. The party is over. It's dead. You can stick a fork in it. As a matter of fact, right now, you might have trouble getting a fork in it because not only is it cooked, it's getting so well done, it's turning into beef jerky. I'm sorry. They're animal rights wackos. Tofu jerky. Take another stab at the tofu. And what's happening is that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is making the behind-the-scenes move, I think, is making the behind-the-scenes move to oust Jeffries. And she's going to promise the Democrats, if they just put her in there, she's as strong as Pelosi, and that she has the backing of all the new media, and she is their darling. And MSNBC and CBS and ABC are all going to tell Trump to go pound sand. You can sue us all you want. We're going commie. And we're not going to tell the truth any longer, not that we ever did, and that the old ways are coming back, and so are the Castro brothers in American politics. And, brother, when we get control back of the gavel for the House of Representatives, we are going to turn it into a Nuremberg court against Republicans. We are going to have trials. We are going to pass laws. We're going to force Kash Patel to arrest ICE agents. We're going to set the stage for the mayhem that is to come and the new revolution. You know, the interesting thing about that to me is they already had a revolution and they won. They won the end of the 1960s. Through the middle of the 1970s. They won. The only victory that conservatism or conservatives had during that entire period after the moon landing or after the space program was Reagan. For, I think, 2 years in there, the Republican Party ran, and not that to have conservatism, you have to have Republicans. That's just the way it kind of panned out then. No, I do not think that the party that was founded under Lincoln is the party of conservatism. Actually, ironically, the party that would probably or should be the party of conservatism is the party that was founded by Martin Van Buren in opposition to Andrew Jackson. That's the Democrat Party. But yeah, there's big trouble and little commie, and Cortez thinks that she is the person. And now look, to get the shimmering, glimmering endorsement of Bernie Sanders probably would have gotten high water mark a third of the Democrat vote if they'd have let him run. Fair fight against Hillary, fair fight against Biden, maybe a third. He was never a majority a Democrat candidate because Democrats don't want to commit to the party or to the platform or to the program, if you will, of what Sanders has been offering since he got into Congress in the late 1970s. In any event, here's one of their sacred cows that is about to be gored. And if it goes down in flames, as it should, and the Supreme Court rules that there is no basis to use the Constitution or the Civil Rights Act or the Voting Rights Act to gerrymander districts based specifically and solely on race, well, immediately the Democrats are going to lose 20 to 25 seats, gone. The long-term effect of that is the plantation has just been basically put to an end. If you can't guarantee us that we get to have a Jasmine Crockett or a Marxine, Mr. Chairman, what is happening in the Supreme Court here? When I say, Mr. Chairman, if I can speak, Mr. Chairman, what it needs to be done here, and we're going to have to find this Clarence Thomas. This Uncle Tom, Clarence Thomas, and we're going to have to surround it, Mr. Chairman. We're going to have to surround his house. Don't give him money to peace. You wouldn't have a Hakeem Jeffries. You wouldn't have a Maxine Waters if they actually had to compete. You wouldn't have most of them. Now, I say you wouldn't have them. You wouldn't have them under the guaranteed conditions that all they got to do is wake up, show up, and the minority district says, oh, yeah, well, we're going to return our kind back to the House of Representatives. By the way, terrible way, awful, awful, terrible way to attempt to run a government, and it shows. So here is one of the arguments by Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson yesterday. in the Supreme Court as the Solicitor General of Louisiana, with the Attorney General, Liz Morrell, standing nearby, is making the argument, you have to bring this to an end. The Constitution says so.
I guess I'm thinking of it, of the fact that remedial action, absent discriminatory intent, is really not a new idea in the civil rights laws. And my kind of paradigmatic example of this is something like the ADA. Congress passed the Americans with Disabilities Act against the backdrop of a world that was generally not accessible to people with disabilities. And so it was discriminatory in effect because these folks were not able to access these buildings. And it didn't matter whether the person who built the building or the person who owned the building intended for them to be exclusionary. That's irrelevant. Congress said the facilities have to be made equally open to people with disabilities if readily possible. I guess I don't understand why that's not what's happening here. The idea in Section 2 is that we are responding to current day manifestations of past and present decisions that disadvantage minorities and make it so that they don't have equal access to the voting system. Right?
Stop the tape. Are you saying that blacks are disabled? That is stunning. I think I've overused the word stunning this year. That is a shocking thing to say. We needed the Americans with Disabilities Act, the ADA, which, by the way, completely, totally, talk about one that ought to be overturned, unconstitutional. Now, should business owners be cognizant of and respectful of the fact that there are people that can't climb stairs? That's just business 101. You're just stupid for not doing it. Yeah, but you can't. Well, you know what? If you had competition among, and our store is more easily accessible than the non-constitutionally mandated ADA store. There was a way to solve that problem without an act, which is what there were a lot of people, there were many U.S. senators that were not on board with that act, including Jesse Helms comes to mind. I remember when it was passed and Pappy Bush signed it into law that there were many arguments that were made that, look, you can solve this problem. We'll agree that it is an issue in many places, but it can be solved without an act of Congress and without Congress muscling into the private property of every business owner on the continent, which is what they did. In any event, Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson is making the argument that being black is a handicap and that they need special privileges and special set-asides in order to exercise what basically amounts to political power. So then it is a foregone conclusion that if a black man can't vote for another black man, that they are disenfranchised? You know, this is walking right up to the apartheid line and going like, no, we absolutely have to have apartheid. It's no more separate and equal, dude. We get ours here and we don't care what happens to everyone else. Our people are never going to participate in anything with yours. That is a shocking. And we only have 20 seconds left. We'll talk about this more when we come back. She basically went on to say that if this thing is brought to an end, that the disenfranchisement is, well, I'll let you hear her say it. When we come back.
In a world more and more infiltrated with fake news, AI-generated slop, isn't it great knowing that Crusade Channel News is still researched, written, and performed by actual humans? Hey, what are you doing in here? Oh no! Get your hands off of me!
Give Chip my chip.
Boys, break it up! Jeez. Catch Crusade Channel News weekday mornings on the Crusade Channel. Live talk and podcast radio the way it should be.
No AI was harmed in the making of this radio content. We hope to next time.
The Crusade Channel and the slaves of the Immaculate Heart of Mary's Sisters present the Saint of the Day.
Hello, Crusaders. This is Sister Mary Joseph with your Saint of the Day. Today is October 16th, the feast of Saint Gerard Majella. He died in 1755. Saint Gerard was a poor boy of southern Italy. His great loves were the Blessed Sacrament, Our Lady, and the Crucifix. He used to say, quote, "Suffer only for God, and your suffering will bring you heaven on earth," end quote. He tried to become a Capuchin friar, but was refused on account of his ill health. The Order of Redemptorists took him when he was 23. He lived with them as a lay brother, and his obedience to his superiors was the most exemplary in the history of that order. Every moment not given to work, he spent in adoration of the Most Blessed Sacrament. He was, by his prayers, a great missioner and converted hundreds of sinners to repentance. Saint Gerard Majella died at the age of 29, and along with Saint Alphonsus Maria de Liguori, Saint Clement Mary Hofbauer, and Saint John Neumann, is one of the 4 saints of the Redemptorist order. Today is also the feast of Saint Hedwig, who died in 1243. Saint Hedwig was the aunt of Saint Elizabeth of Hungary. She was a queen. She did much to foster convents for the consecration to Jesus and Mary of young Catholic girls. She herself became a nun in her widowhood. She was canonized 23 years after her death. Saint Hedwig, pray for us. Saint Gerard Majella, pray for us. Thank you for joining us for this brief summary of the lives of today's saints. Tomorrow is the feast of Saint Margaret Mary Alacoque. To access all of our Saints of the Day recordings as podcasts, head to crusadechannel.com/saints. You can learn more about our sisters and the building of our convent by visiting stphilomenaconvent.org. I am Sister Mary Joseph, and until next time, may God bless and Mary keep you.
Do you hear that, Maggie?
Do I hear what?
You don't hear the sound of bees buzzing about?
No, I see the result of that buzzing about in these beautiful new beeswax candles.
We sell candles now?
Not just any candles. These are handmade beeswax candles.
Well, that explains me imagining bees.
And they come in different sizes. There's a votive, a 3-day, and a 7-day size too.
Well, that should start a buzz in the store.
It better, or you'll get the buzz.
Order handmade beeswax candles today while supplies last at shop.mikechurch.com.
Now, in our 9th year, Crusade Channel News is simply the best daily newscast on all of radio.
News that informs and inspires and doesn't destroy any critical thinking brain cells.
Catch it at 6, 8, and 3 p.m. on the Crusade Channel, our app, and always on crusadechannel.com. Live talk and news radio.
The way it should be.
Hey, it's the King Dude for My Pillow. Mike Lindell sent me my first set of My Pillows 14 years ago. I loved them then, and I still love that same set of original My Pillows today. True story. Now, that's a testament to the craftsmanship and quality of the My Pillow. But don't take my word for it. Go try it for yourself. Use my unique code and get huge discounts and free shipping on all orders by going to mypillow.com/KingDude. That's mypillow.com/KingDude.
Her hair is hollow gold, her lips sweet surprise. Her hands are never cold. She's got Betty Davis eyes. She'll turn her music on you. You won't have to think twice. She's pure as New York snow. She got Betty Davis eyes. And she'll tease you, she'll unease you, all the better just to please you. She's precocious, and she knows just what it takes to make a pro blush. She got Greta Garbo, standoff size. She's got Betty Davis eyes.
From the great decade of the comeback, 1980s. Kim Carnes with an instant number one hit. As soon as everybody heard that song, they knew number one hit. Mike Church Show here on the Crusade Channel. Your home for American-made talk radio for American ears, made by American talk show hosts, not AI. This portion of the program brought to you by the Founders Trading Post store at shop.mikechurch.com. Shop.mikechurch.com. A great time of the year for grilling. Grilling and chilling and tailgating. Especially on a night like tonight when on Thursday Night Throwdown. By the way, we're going to be starting at 7 Eastern tonight. I will send a note out in the Signal group and in the chat room. Instead of 8 Eastern, 7 Eastern. So, in any event, tonight is rivalries. The Saints versus the Falcons. The Yankees versus the Red Sox. The great rivalries of all times. The Hatfields versus the McCoys. Conservatives, MAGA, versus commies. I'm making that one up. But we'll do rivalries tonight, and there are so many great, like college football, you have all those great rivalries. You have annually, you have LSU versus Ole Miss, the Magnolia Bowl. You have LSU versus Arkansas, the Boot. They compete for the boot. You have the Red River, there's actually known as a rivalry, the Red River rivalry. Is that Texas, Oklahoma? There are rivalries. Yeah, every year you have the Army-Navy game. The last game of the Commanders Cup series every year. And usually, it used to not be a great game, but in the past couple of years, Army has, or is the Navy that's gotten much better. And in the event, tonight we'll do rivalries, baseball rivalries, basketball rivalries, Celtics versus Lakers, etc. The great rivalries. Bring your rivalries. You can even do, can you do rivalries and movies and stuff? Are there great movie rivalries? Well, if there are, yeah, bring them. We'll talk about them tonight. And mo better if you're going to be in the number in that group that you wear your rival colors. So I will be wearing my rival colors. I have several to choose from. Shop in the store with us tonight at shop.mikechurch today, all day today, shop.mikechurch.com. Rivalry, I started talking about tailgating and beast and butt rub, chicken mamu, and Acadiana steak seasoning. The chicken mamu just continues to get rave reviews. The Acadiana steak seasoning has it does great things for steak and for any kind of beef. Also works fantastic on fish. And especially if you're going to blacken, if you want to blacken something, Acadiana steak seasoning is your choice. You would use that. Beast and butt rub, of course, is so versatile, and people have tried it on so many different things and report great results, and many people use it every day. It will become a staple in your house, too. Give it a try today. You get them exclusively at shop.mikechurch.com. Shop.mikechurch.com. By the way, I have refills. I never talk about this, and I'm remiss. I bought 5 refill packs of El Rey Do Corona cigars. For those of you that bought the hard shell humidors, the indestructible cigar humidors, the little black ones with my signature on them, there's 5 cigars that go in that. We have your refills. They're in the Founders Trading Post store at shop. And of course, if you just want the cigars individually, and I hope you do, shop.mikechurch.com. Thank you in advance. All right, we were playing the Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson soundbite where she was basically saying that blacks are disabled and so stupid they can't find their way to a polling booth. Yep. And even if they do, well, they don't know. If they can't tell that the candidate's black, they don't think they should vote. This is the same nonsense that's been used to argue like black people don't know how to find a DMV. How's that possible? Most people know where the DMV is so they can avoid it. Dude, do I have to go to the DMV? I know when I have to do things with my automobile, I do not go to the DMV, and I know exactly where it is. It goes, do you have satellite privately run office? Yeah, I'm going to go there. But that is her argument. Here, play the second one. Janai Nelson arguing for a second majority black district here. I think it's pronounced Janai. These arguments are pathetic. These are not strong, manly, assertive arguments that we need a muscular black representation in Congress, and by gum we can get it if we like jerry rig a district or rig a district so that people that only vote by color. I mean, this is just enshrining overt racism in the Constitution system. There's no other way to look at this. By the way, there was no conservative justice of the past 40 years that would disagree with that. You would not get a disagreement out of Judge Bork. You wouldn't get a disagreement on that out of Chief Justice William Rehnquist. The late, great Antonin Scalia would not have argued with you over that. I'm trying to think of any other name that I may have left out. I think that you have the block, that you have the Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, Alito, Thomas already down with this. All you got to do is convince either Roberts or the notorious ACB. I cannot imagine, although I'm sure she could figure out a way, for the notorious ACB, after having voted for Dobbs and the other 14th Amendment case, that race-based, and this is entirely race-based. She may be white guilted into it. She's going to have to make, but she's not one of those that's just going to vote present. Yeah, I'm going to go along with Ketanji Brown Jackson. She'd have to make a legal argument. Her professor at Notre Dame, John Figgis, would tell her there is no legal argument for this. Just like there was no legal argument against the Dobbs case. It's interesting, though, that this case is being brought by Louisiana. Jeff Landry was out yesterday going like, we're going to bring it to an end. He did an interview with Sandra Harris. He goes, no, Sandra, this is something that's a blight on our country, and Louisiana's proud. We're going to bring this to an end. This needs to come to an end. It's been 40 years too late. It needs to be done, and we're going to do it. But here is the argument for voting specifically and particularly by race.
That's right. And in the state of Louisiana, that analysis was conducted in the Nairn case, and it was clear that regardless of party, white Democrats were not voting for black candidates, whether they were Democrats or not. And we know that there is such a significant chasm between how black and white voters vote in Louisiana that there's no question that even if there is some correlation between race and party, that race is the driving factor.
Can you comment on?
Are you saying that white Democrats are racist pigs?
People in Louisiana.
White Democrats in Louisiana are racist pigs. And even if there was a qualified black candidate, a white Democrat is in. Boy, folks. Didn't see that one coming. As when I told someone that the Democrat Party as a statewide party in the state of Louisiana was done 2 years ago after the second term of Emperor Bell Bonaparte IV, after enduring COVID and all the damage and destruction that he did to our state, that woman just drove the final nail in the coffin. Yeah, if you're stupid enough to be remaining as a Democrat in Louisiana, and you're white, that woman just gave you a reason and an excuse to either go independent or to cross the evil gorge. You go, like, okay, well, that's it, fine. You think maybe the Republican Party will look at me and not call me a racist bigot hick hayseed? Because that's what she just did. You want to hear another one? Here is Hashim Mupad, Principal Deputy Solicitor General with Justice Sotomayor, the second dumbest female member of the SCOTUS, and Exhibit B of why the 19th Amendment must be repealed.
You could control for partisan effect. There was racially polarized voting even within the Democratic Party. That's where Section 2 matters, where you have a reason to think that a racial group is being treated.
Here too. You have proof of that here.
No, you don't. What you have here is that Republicans and Democrats are different. There's
no. You have some that even white Republicans or white Democrats won't vote for black candidates.
Right, but if these were white Democrats, there's no reason to think they would have a second district. None. And so what is happening here is their argument is because these Democrats happen to be black, they get a second district. If they were all white, we all agree they wouldn't get a second district. That is literally the definition of race subordinating traditional principles.
I mean, literally, if you're listening to Justice Brown Ketanji Jackson, or Ketanji Brown Jackson, you are going to, God, this is so stupid. I think people need to hear the SCOTUS arguments, though. And we're only too happy here on the Mike Church Show, the last actual live talk radio show standing, America's morning show, a crusade for the truth. And I hope that all of you are getting excited about the 10th anniversary coming up. You know, I'm going to make it possible that you can give a 30-day free, 30-day Founders Pass membership to someone that you know. It's a 30-day gift membership for $5. Email's going to go out soon so that we can give the old college try one more time with the dearth of what is left out there to listen to live. Again, talk radio needs to be front and center, not in the background and not cut in to 35-second sound bites. Will you help us do that? By the way, thank you so much, and happy birthday to Mary Smelzer today. Wait a minute, wait.
She gave a donation.
Okay. I conflated the two. Mary, when it is your birthday, consider that your birthday wish. No, it's Magdalene's birthday, and Mary, she did make a donation, and so did Defender earlier today. Thank you. Woohoo! And today's Tom Connolly's birthday. Yep. Well, no, we don't celebrate Eagles fans' birthday. I take it back. Sorry, Tom. I'm kidding. See, rivalries coming up tonight. Everybody should be listening tonight, 7 Eastern, for a Thursday night throwdown. That includes you, Jeff Johnson. Play the next one. Play Benjamin Aguinaga, Louisiana Solicitor General, with Justice Clarence Thomas here. And again, this case is being brought by Louisiana. I think there are other states that are in on it. You listen to the argument, so you can kind of get a sense of where this case is going to go.
What role did Robinson play in the development of SB 8?
Justice Thomas, Robinson is the only reason SB 8 exists. We fought tooth and nail in the Robinson litigation itself in telling the courts that we did not think the Constitution permitted us to draw a second majority black district. As you know, under protest, we drew SB 8 because the threat was that the federal courts were going to do it if we didn't. And I think that's the best way to conceive of why SB 8 exists. We would never pass SB 8 in the first instance without Robinson, Justice Thomas.
What were the findings in Robinson?
The finding by the Middle District in Robinson was that the plaintiffs in this case were likely to show a violation of Section 2, and the likely violation, and I'm using very broad terminology because I do not know what the underlying violation is. I can't articulate that for you, Justice Thomas, because I don't think anybody can. But I think the finding in the district court's mind in that case was that the likelihood of a Section 2 violation meant that a majority black district was required, a second one. And I think that was the bottom line, and when our legislature saw that, we understood the marching order, and that's why you see SB 8 as it exists today.
Just briefly, what were the findings that led to that conclusion?
Well, Your Honor, running through the preconditions and the totality of the circumstances, I mean, I think the totality of the circumstances did most of the work for the Middle District in Robinson. Senate Factor 1, the official history of past discrimination. Justice Thomas, we can never outrun the bad era of poll taxes, of grandfather clauses, of literacy tests. I think we're always going to lose across the board on that kind of analysis, and that's what the Middle District in Robinson focused on, is how bad was Louisiana in the 1930s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and, you know, add all that together, and at the end you have a vote dilution finding that I don't think is clearly articulable in the way that SFFA requires a finding of discrimination to be specified.
That's a really profound point, that you are never going to run away from what used to be done in the Deep South, in Louisiana and Mississippi and Alabama. Poll taxes, literacy tests, all these things that were used to ostensibly stop blacks from getting to the polls or from being able to vote. And this is why you get the, let me make sure I get it right. It is amendment number 24. The right of citizens of the United States to vote in any. Here it is. 24th Amendment, the right of citizens of the United States to vote in any. By the way, what does the 24th Amendment say about racist America for all the people that are running around raking in hundreds of millions and billions of dollars in race huckstering, including Black Lives Matters jerks? What does the 24th Amendment say about racist America? And that it never even moved, it didn't even try. Black lives still matter, and America is the most racist country in the world. It is evil. 24th Amendment was ratified on the January the 23rd, 1964, and it says this: the right of citizens of the United States to vote in any primary or other election for president or vice president, for electors for president or vice president, or for senator or House of Representatives shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or any state by reason of failure to pay any poll tax or other tax. So he just mentioned and said that, well, you know, we eliminated that with an amendment. Well, how's that possible? Mr. Chairman, America is still under Trump, still the most racist nation in the world, Mr. Chairman. If it's the most racist nation in the world, why pass the 24th Amendment? Why pass the Civil Rights Act of 1966? By the way, Civil Rights Act of 1966, there are people that can argue this and can make this a good argument. I'm not one of them because I don't know the nitty-gritty details, but I can get you in the ballpark. Most people think that the Great Society Acts of the 1960s are the ones that broke open the welfare state and then set the federal government up as basically the exchequer, the guardian of almost all activities in these United States. The tax and spender, the rule setter, and what have you here. I believe it was the Civil Rights Act of 1966, and there was another one after that said all this nonsense that we still have to deal with today with Title IX and Title X. You hear about it all the time. Title IX, Title X says that. Well, you know, maybe we ought to go back to the act that they gave us, Title IX and Title X, and repeal them. If you want secede, the stop and the step before secede is getting the government out of the business of social policy. Now, in some instances, like if you had an apartheid situation and there were people that were actually killing other people based on some social status or equivalent, you know, the state would have a duty to ensure a Republican form of government to step in and actually do something about it. Was that the case in the Civil Rights Act of 1966? Kevin Gutzman and Tom Woods argued against it. Many others have. Play the next one. You want to hear stupid on... You are stuck on stupid. You want to hear Russell Honore stuck on stupid on steroids? Benjamin Aguinaga with Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson.
Wait, so can I just ask, why is that not a compelling state interest to identify areas in which that problem is occurring?
Your Honor, of course, as this court recognized in SFFA, states can remedy intentional
No, I'm not talking about the
discrimination.
remedy. I'm talking about
identify.
identify.
Of course.
All right. So if I'm right that Section 2 is about identifying the problem and then requiring some remedy, I don't understand why your answer to Justice Kagan's question about is this a compelling state interest is no. The answer is obviously yes, that you have an interest in remedying the effects of racial discrimination that we identify using this tool. Whether you go too far in your remedy is another issue, right?
Your Honor, I think step zero in all of these cases, it was certainly step zero in the Robinson litigation, is the plaintiffs came in and said, we want another majority black district.
I thought they came in and said, we are not receiving equal electoral opportunity because our votes are being diluted.
Which is the same way of saying we deserve a second
No,
majority
it's not,
black district.
because that, again, just trust me on this.
No.
The second
I don't trust you on
electoral or
anything.
second district
Get
is
your
a
hand
remedy
off of my
that one
broom.
Could
You
offer
chipped my chip.
for a problem that we've identified. And the whole Robinson litigation was about identifying the problem. Is this really happening? In many, many Section 2 cases, the court says, you're wrong. You're fine. There is not an electoral opportunity being denied to you. Go away. In this case, the court said, I see. I'm looking at the factors. I appreciate what you're saying. You've proven that we have this problem. And so the next question is, how do we go about remedying it?
Right. And the problem, Justice Jackson, that the Middle District identified was not intentional discrimination. And in fact, I think
Why
when
do
I
you
hear
need
my...
intentional discrimination to remedy a problem like the one that I've identified?
Because if you're going to use race the way that the Robinson appellants want the court to use race in drawing a second majority minority district, you've got to have a compelling interest.
Thank you.
And Thank you, Mr. Chief Justice.
Thank you. She just cuts him off. Yeah, I'm done with you. As he said, you have to have a compelling interest. What's a compelling interest? She says that the compelling interest is, again, race, 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 which is to say that all blacks are all Democrats, and they all vote identical, and they need to be corralled together in a place where they can act all identically and stuff. That's American?
Remember when we used to be like Joe Walsh?
Now we just talk about making hit records. Well, parody versions of hit records.
Join the KingDude and Jim Mosier as they pick apart the greatest parody songs of all time and the hits they were based on. It's Album Autopsy, exclusively on the Crusade Channel. Live talk and podcast radio the way it should be, and doesn't disappoint your mother.
Everybody loves a good trilogy. The Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, and now the KingDude Seasoning Trilogy. There's Beast and Butt Rub, Acadiana Steak, and the brand new Chicken Mamu Seasoning, a lemon herb-based rub that's won trophies in barbecue chicken cook-offs. Now, we've bundled all three spices together, and you can get them for one low price for less than it costs to rent a movie trilogy. And the KingDude offers you his personal money-back guarantee of your taste buds' complete satisfaction. Order a KingDude Seasoning Trilogy today at shop.mychurch.com.
Have you ever dreamed of being like Brian Kay or Mitter Monday and being a free Farm Friday star? But you know you have no shot at it because you can't tell the difference between a U and a Y-O-U. Well, lucky for you, we have an entire bookstore filled with the books you need to become so passionate for farming, you'll soon be wearing a Brian Kay Calls Me for Advice t-shirt. So learn to grow by growing your library with books by shopping at shop.mikechurch.com.
Broadcasting 50,000 kilowatts from atop the tallest radio tower on the planet. We are KRSD, the Crusade Channel, Madisonville.
Well, it's what our call letters would be.
Crusade Channel News. News you can trust, because the truth can be trusted. From the Crusade Channel News Desk, here's Janet Huxley.
Hello, Crusaders. Welcome to Thursday, October 16th, 2025. I'm Janet Huxley, reporting for the Crusade Channel News Desk, live from the Dothan Farm and Ranch, south of Kansas City, Missouri. Today's newscast brought to you by Capuchin Holy Roast Coffee, a blend personally crafted by Mike Church, made from South American and Africa's finest gourmet coffee beans, and roasted to perfection. Available in whole bean or ground, pick up a bag or 6 today at shop.mikechurch.com. Here's what to listen for this hour. Trump reveals why he is authorizing CIA activity in Venezuela. The trans identification trend among young people appears to be losing momentum. Diane Keaton's family reveals her cause of death, and astronomers discover mysterious object that's 1 million times larger than the sun, but it's completely invisible. President Donald Trump confirmed he would be authorizing Central Intelligence Agency activity in Venezuela amid his efforts to combat Latin American drug traffickers. Trump indicated during a press conference with FBI Director Kash Patel on Wednesday that his administration was looking at land in Latin America after the U.S. military conducted at least 5 fatal strikes against alleged drug boats in the Caribbean since last month. The president also confirmed at the Wednesday press conference he was authorizing intelligence activity by the CIA in Venezuela to help continue the administration's offensive against Latin American drug traffickers. The trans identification trend among young people appears to be losing momentum. Recent data taken from college campuses shows a sharp decline in the number of Gen Zers identifying as transgender over the past 3 years. Eric Kaufman, a professor of politics at the University of Buckingham, conducted his own analysis of a large survey of U.S. undergraduates, which included a question asking them to identify their gender. Diane Keaton's family revealed the late actress's cause of death on Wednesday. The Keaton family are very grateful for the extraordinary messages of love and support they've received these past few days on behalf of their beloved Diane, who passed away from pneumonia on October 11th, her family shared in a statement to People magazine, and it was picked up by all the news outlets, hence why we're mentioning it now. The family also added she loved her animals and was steadfast in her support of the unhoused community, so any donations in her memory to a local food bank or an animal shelter would be a wonderful, much appreciated tribute to her. Our quote of the day: when we pray, the voice of the heart must be heard more than that proceeding from the mouth. Saint Bonaventure. Coming up, our saint of the day. You're listening to Crusade Channel News.
When most people hear the word coffee, they conjure up visions of a ceramic mug in the palm of both hands and a woman slowly sipping. This isn't a Folgers commercial. It's for Capuchin Holy Roast, and here's how I take mine. With a dash of vanilla, a pinch of cinnamon, a spoonful of honey, and lots of heavy cream. Add some ice, shake, and then enjoy, while knowing that's $6 the libs at Starbucks can't spend to ruin my life and yours.
Cappuccino Holy Roast in whole bean or grind is available at shop.mychurch.com.
Hal, open the pod bay doors.
I'm sorry, I can't do that, KingDude.
Hal, why can't you open the pod bay doors?
Because, KingDude, MAGA Earth isn't ready for you yet.
When will MAGA Earth be ready for me, Hal?
When 1.76 trillion scales have fallen from their eyes. Oh.
Yes, Hal.
And KingDude, they'll also need a wicked sense of humor.
Don't be stuck in the broadcasting world of 2001. Grab a Crusade size update and catch the Mike Church shows weekdays from 7 to 10 a.m. East, exclusively on the Crusade Channel Live Talk and Podcast Radio for the 2025 listener, the way it should be.
Today's saint of the day is Saint Hedwig, Duchess and widow, the patroness of Silesia, a region of Eastern Europe. Hedwig was born in Bavaria, Germany, the daughter of the Duke of Croatia and Dalmatia. She was the aunt of Saint Elizabeth of Hungary, and at the age of 12, Hedwig was married to Duke Henry of Silesia, the head of the Polish royal family. She bore him 7 children, and they had a happy marriage. Hedwig lost a child who was killed fighting against the Mongols. She died in a convent on October 15th, and many miracles were reported after her death. She was canonized in 1266. Scientists have discovered a massive dark object in space that's completely invisible to the naked eye, according to an awe-inspiring study in the journal Nature Astronomy. The mysterious dark matter, which is yet to be named, reportedly has a mass that is 1,000,000 times greater than the sun, but does not emit light. This intergalactic blind spot reportedly resides over 10 billion light years away, less than half of the planet's current age, according to scientists. Since the dark matter could not be seen, researchers had to observe it via gravitational lensing, in which the light of a more distant object is distorted and deflected by the gravity of said dark entity, like a celestial funhouse mirror. Hunting for dark objects that do not seem to emit any light is clearly challenging, said lead author Devin Powell of the Max Planck Institute of Astrophysics in Germany. Since we can't see them directly, we instead use very distant galaxies as a backlight to look for their gravitational imprints. Discovering clumps are significant because they expand our understanding of dark matter, material that is believed to exist in space, but without visible light to prove it. I'm Janet Huxley for the Crusade Channel, seeking news and finding truth.
Hey, it's the King Dude with another free lesson in Stuff You Really Don't Need to Know. Harvest was Great Britain's name for the season that follows summer, until autumn began to displace it at the end of the 16th century. But English immigrants to America preferred fall to autumn. And did you know that fall is caused by the sun setting below the equator in the northern hemisphere sky, also known as the equinox, which continues south to the winter solstice. Here's another seasonal fact for you. The flag of the Sacred Heart of Jesus is also known as the Carillon de Sacré-Cœur, or the original flag of Quebec. And did you know that our founders' trading post is the exclusive maker and distributor of this one-of-a-kind, full-size, beautiful flag? Order a Sacred Heart flag right now and take $5 off, and I'll throw in a matching Sacred Heart flag bumper sticker for free. You know, don't cost nothing. Hurry, fall is here, and flag flying season in the north is limited. To order, go to mikechurch.com/flag or call us at 844-527-8723. The Carillon de Sacré-Cœur flag will beautify any indoor or outdoor space it flies in, but supplies are limited. So order today at mikechurch.com/flag or call us 844-527-8723.
It's the WWE and the UFC for live talk radio Thursday Night Throwdown, hosted by you. Win a seat at the table, win the throwdown, and then you pick next week's topic.
Now that's real live talk radio exclusively on the Crusade Channel. Radio, the way it should be.
Hey, Mick. Yesterday's show wasn't enough. It's time to crack open another can of Mike Church Show whooping.
This guy just don't want to win, you know. He wants to bury you. He wants to humiliate you. He wants to prove to the whole world that it was nothing but some kind of a freak the first time out.
Hey, freaks don't hear the rocky music before they leave satellite radio.
How about a Fresca?
The Mike Church Show. Weekday mornings on the Crusade Channel. King-sized truth. From radio-sized speakers.
Performing this show was 79.7%. I like that, 79.7% of my testosterone and brain tied behind my back just to make it fair against a sea of angry, ugly, despondent, single cat ladies and their socialist, creepy grandpa counterparts. Mike Church Show here on the Crusade Channel, 34 years young. You know, when we celebrate our 10th anniversary on November the 11th, we will have another August name and persona to add to the mix, which will become apparent here in just a moment. Crowdfunding for this week still going on. Thanks to all of you who have contributed at crusadechannel.com/donate. There is an appeal also that went out to those of you that have been super duper contributors over the course of the last 10 years, certainly in the past 120 days, because that's what the algorithm and that email program looks for. Maggie could take a picture of it because people like in pictures and show you the broadcasting console that we are currently working with, which was the backup in case the unthinkable ever happened, which did about 4 weeks ago now, which is the very expensive but sophisticated and very efficient previous mixing console crap the bed. I called the company up that makes it, and they said, sorry, Charlie. They basically gave me the Starkist tuna line. Sorry, Charlie. Yeah, we had that one completely made in China. And China doesn't make those parts for it anymore. I'm pretty sure it's the power source. You don't make power sources? Nope. Don't make it. Don't know where you can get it. You need to buy a new one. Here, try this one out. Forced obsolescence, as it were. So there is a fundraising campaign. We are a 501c3 nonprofit now. So make a larger contribution, and if you do that sort of thing, just write it off at the end of the year. I'll give you the letter of determination number, and everyone's happy. Check your email to see if you received that email, because as again, it didn't go out to the whole list, a portion of the list. And if you're on that list, thank you very much, and I hope we can wrap that funding up so we can order that joker today. If not, send me an email or Maggie, and I will tell you where that particular fund is and send you the appropriate link. Thank you in advance. Everyone else, please continue contributing in the chat room at crusadechannel.com/chat. Okay. I got a lot to get to here today, but it has been our practice the last couple of months, going back to April, to have Thursdays as...
Welcome to another episode of Bloom, Our Man in Mordor. A look at all the news that was not fit to print.
Listen to me! Print that story, you're a dead man!
It's not just me anymore. You'd have to stop every newspaper in the country now, and you're not big enough for that job. People like you've tried it before, with bullets, prison, censorship. But as long as even one newspaper will print the truth, you're finished.
Bloom, Our Man in Mordor. Conclusive proof that posted media must be stopped. Exclusively on the Veritas Radio Network's Crusade.
And, oh, good Lord. Technology. Can't live with it, can't kill it. So J. Arthur Bloom is with us here today. Where'd Little John go?
Oh, wait.
There he is. There's Little John. I was wondering, we were seeing Little John on the preview. And then Little John disappeared for a moment. If you don't know, Little John is the squirrel.
He's running around.
No, he's on your shoulder. I see him right there. So the good news is that means that the authorities have not confiscated him, and Little John has not suffered the fate of Peanut.
Right. The Robin Hood gang has not been apprehended by the sheriff of Nottingham's goons.
So Little John is with us, and we'll talk about Arthur's latest writings. Have you written anything? No, it's not since Things to Keep an Eye on October the 12th.
Well, no, I've got a piece out as of yesterday about the new head of the NRA, Bill Bockenberg.
Oh,
and this is an exclusive. So he was appointed head of the NRA in May, and he's also the founder of a nonprofit in Carbondale, Pennsylvania, called Camp Freedom, and they do hunting trips for vets, and I've got a number of requests for comment out, but it appears very much that a number of the fundraisers they've been doing as part of this nonprofit are against the law, And so he's a gun rights guy. Bill Bockenberg is an interesting character. He was a co-chair of Sportsmen for Trump, one of the Trump Hunter coalition guys, and he was involved in some of the Stop the Steal stuff. So the plaintiff against me here in Virginia was also involved in a suit with Bockenberg. And what that was about was the plaintiff against me, Yaakov Applebaum, was brought in to audit the voting machines. And what Applebaum found was that they're insecure, but there is no evidence of fraud. And Bockenberg, evidently, according to Applebaum, didn't end up paying him. And so Applebaum sued, and Bockenberg settled for a cool $500,000. And that's a little bit to the side of what's really to hand, which is that this Camp Freedom is a federal firearms licensee. It's an FFL. And if you have an FFL, that means, that's the license that gun dealers have. And if you have one, it's site specific. You are authorized to sell guns in accordance with all applicable state law at a certain location. And the problem, as far as Camp Freedom is concerned, is that they've been doing a number of raffles and live auctions that are off-site and appear not to be in compliance with state law. So to go over a little bit what Pennsylvania state law is with these things, a raffle above a certain value must be reported per Pennsylvania Small Games of Chance Act.
Oh,
and that would apply to certain bingo games. It would apply to electronic slot machines, these sorts of things. And so every year, every couple of months, in fact, Camp Freedom has these off-site raffles and live auctions where they're raffling guns. In one of their raffle advertisements, they advertise a 1 in 4 chance of winning. In another one, they advertise 75 guns that you can win. Now, they may be able to claim. So even if you did that, so to talk a little bit about what federal law is around these things, an FFL, which Camp Freedom is authorized to participate in, for instance, a gun show. An FFL, like a gun dealer, can show up at a gun show, but they are still obliged to do an NICS check. They're obliged to have the buyer do a 4473. And I don't know. I've reached out to the ATF and also to Camp Freedom as to whether that was done in this case. But at any rate, the law doesn't contemplate an FFL itself being, holding what would be considered a gun show. So I think I'm on fairly solid ground to say that these are definitely illegal gun transactions. And so if you add up it's very clearly in violation of state law. It is also in violation of federal law because it violates state law. And then it's also, as best as I can tell, I would go like 80% here, also directly in violation of federal law. And so this would be an instance where, hundreds of guns were illegally transferred by the head of the NRA's charity. And right now, so I've got a request for comment out to the NRA about it as well. And so, for a little bit of color, I could talk a little bit about the sorts of guns which were auctioned and raffled as part of this. There are a number of custom guns. There are a couple of Trump Desert Eagles. And then there's also, I think probably the one that would grab the most attention is the Trump Tommy gun. And this literal gangster rifle with a barrel magazine that's being auctioned as part of this. And there's no way that a gun like that is below the value of the Small Games of Chance Act in Pennsylvania. So that's kind of that's the shape of it.
So so this guy's going to become the head of the NRA, or he is the head.
He already is.
And so, Little John wanted to say something. I'm not sure what he wanted to say. Little John was probably saying, I don't know, Dad. Those guns all look menacing to me. Keep them away from me.
That's right.
Especially the little squirrel guns, okay? The little ones. I hadn't seen that story, but I did see the one where you have Laura Loomer at the top of the page, and further down, it's the things to keep an eye on. And it's a story, I guess, from the Wall Street Journal. Laura Loomer and Yakov Appelbaum worked closely for years. What is that all about? And the Appelbaum guys, that's the guy that's suing you?
Yeah, that's right. So Yakov Appelbaum has now admitted in the lawsuit that he was an IDF intelligence officer of 7 years.
Oh.
And so as of right now, we're heading for a situation in which his attorneys are going to have to go and tell a Virginia jury that they think it's defamatory to call an IDF intelligence officer an Israeli spy. And if that's what they want to do, they're more than welcome. But I think I'm on fairly solid ground. And so with respect to the relationship between Appelbaum and Loomer, what has now been written in the Wall Street Journal is that Appelbaum and Loomer have been working together for many years. The piece that I can add to this is that they are also in close touch with Dr. Bob Shillman, who was the one who withdrew the $2 million donation to TPUSA just prior to Charlie Kirk's death. And so, Shillman is involved with a number of IDF fronts. Friends of the IDF is one of them. There are a couple of others. And so there's now 3 individuals, Shillman, an IDF intelligence officer who's a plaintiff against me, and Laura Loomer, who are working together. They are, if you look at what Laura Loomer has been up to, advancing the interests of, the Israeli right in American politics. And now you could argue that Laura Loomer has been highly successful at doing this. She managed to have the head of the NSA removed. So the question that arises, you have this nexus of Israeli intelligence-linked people. So you've got the money guy, the former officer, and you've got the influencer.
No, wait a minute. The head of the NSA, you mean Michael Walsh?
No, that was an NSC guy.
Okay, NSC. Who was it?
This was General Huff.
Okay, all right.
And he was removed a couple of, I guess, a couple of weeks ago.
Ah.
And it seems to have been, the reporting indicates that it was at the behest of Laura Loomer, who insisted to the president that he was disloyal. And so, you have this tight nexus, so is it really about loyalty to the president, or is it about, we've decided what the president's mind is? And so we're going to, we've decided the president's mind is Bibi gets to do whatever he wants. And so we're going to remove everybody who's not on board with that, or really anybody who's not on board with us. And so, are these purges happening? I'll state it directly. Are these purges happening at the behest of a foreign government?
Right.
And so, what I've said, I have not alleged in the allegedly defamatory article, I just told it to be true. But I have not said, and the judge has agreed with me that it does not say, that Mr. Appelbaum has committed a crime. However, you look at this whole network that is highly successful at removing national security figures from their posts, and I guess what I would feel comfortable saying at this point is that I've probably understated the case. And take from that what you will.
Well, that's a lot, because you're the one that's being sued.
That's right.
He's suing you. And you're saying you understated the case, not overstated the case, so that is saying an awful lot. Let's stay kind of on the same subject here. Next, Arthuriana, we have this. The second triumvirate of MAGA, Bibi, Trump, and the Mormons convene under the shadow of the...
That was just a little bit of poetry.
No, but it's funny. No, I'm reading it going like, okay, this is like a screenplay almost. You can almost see making a short video out of this. The interesting part, or what the whole thing is interesting, when I get down past the first part of the poem, where Netanyahu rises and says, "My fellow TPUSAers, I am here to bury Charlie Kirk." Literally. You throw Candace Owens in. Now, I don't know how deeply you have looked into this or what your take is on Candace Owens's take. It seems to me that my political affairs correspondent, Magdalene Rose, has pretty much sussed this out. And the principal accomplishment of Candace Owens's agitation has been to remove Charlie Kirk's murder from the front pages and the hunt for the killer. That instead of that, well, now we're all just kind of focused on what Candace has to say. And President Trump said it 2 to 3 days ago when he gave the Medal of Freedom out. It's only been 30 days, and Charlie has missed more than we ever. Well, he's missed. He's a voice, and we really needed Charlie. He's one of a kind. Charlie's case has been memory hold.
Yeah, that's an interesting argument. And I have a few concerns about some of the things Candace Owens has said. However, mostly with respect to the Charlie Kirk case, most of what she said has been borne out.
Right.
In respect to the texts with Josh Hammer and some others on the Israeli side of things. And then also, I mean, if the fact that Candace Owens is talking about it does not relieve the networks of the responsibility, for instance, of trying to find the autopsy which must be performed per the laws of the state of Utah.
Where is it?
And we haven't seen yet.
Right.
Yeah, where the heck is it? And you know, just last night I saw a tweet from Will Chamberlain, and he was saying, you know, if you're doubting the Tyler Robinson story, you're calling all of these TPUSA people liars. You're calling Erica Kirk a liar. All of this stuff, and like, okay, you know, someone could be well-intentioned but misled.
Right.
And they're it's not really about that. It's that, you know, right now we have the indictment in front of us in Utah County, and I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, I think this is fairly unlikely to obtain a conviction. And so the question arises, why is that? Is it because we haven't seen the full evidence? Is it because he's not the guy? Is it because there was misconduct in some way? And so, you know, it's perfectly reasonable to kind of make an assessment of the facts which we actually do have. And right now they're pretty thin. I mean, what the autopsy would ostensibly demonstrate, or it should, is whether the round that killed him was from a 30-06, which is the rifle that was Tyler Robinson's.
And you're going to have to prove that to get a conviction.
That's right. And so the Mauser 30-06 was found in the woods behind you know, near the national security program at Utah Valley University. And so in the indictment, what it says is that they found 3 unspent rounds and 1 spent round, consistent with 1 shot being fired. But it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me why you would remove your shell and then leave it behind in the woods a few hundred yards away. If you're trying to cover up a shooting, why would you, you know, that's an odd place to dispose of it.
I'll give you one reason. Souvenir, trophy. I wanted to carry the bullet around with me so I could say this is the round that was used to kill Charlie. That's the only practical thing that comes to mind, other than, you know, your palms are sweating, you're trying to get away from the cops, you think they may have a bead on you, you're running, you're not actually thinking clear. Of course, you know, there's a whole thing that you and I have talked about. It seems to me that the script that they wrote up to make the cover for the roommate, the Twiggy dude, or whatever the hell his name, Tippy, whatever his name is, seems to me that is just far too convenient of a story, and yeah, it does read as like a script. It's very scripted. Can you hold on? Do one more seg.
Yep.
Let's do it. We got to take a quick time out here, folks, and we'll do it in just a second and be right back with Arthur Bloom. You can find him on Substack. He is Arthuriana on Substack. And, of course, while we're in timeout, you also had the chance to go and shop in the store, make a donation at crusadechannel.com/donate. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
I need something to listen to challenge my faith and tickle my not-so-nice funny bone.
Well, you won't hear anything about Mondays coming or cheeseburgers in paradise, but you will hear the most brutally honest Catholic-inspired commentary on Parrot Talk. Weekdays.
Oh, this boats, beaches, bars, and ballads fan sees what you did there.
Weekdays at 2 Central on the Crusade Channel, our app, and always on crusadechannel.com. Live talk and podcast radio.
The way it should be.
Hello, Crusaders. I'm Janet Huxley at the Crusade Channel News Desk with your Crusade Crucials for Thursday, October 16th, 2025. This report is brought to you by Capuchin Holy Roast Coffee, a blend personally crafted by Mike Church, made from South American and Africa's finest gourmet coffee beans and roasted to perfection. Available in whole bean or ground. Pick up a bag or 6 today at shop.mikechurch.com. In the market report, the Dow was down just slightly, 0.04%, the S&P up 0.40%, and the NASDAQ was up 0.66%. Today is National Dictionary Day. On October 16th, we define the celebration as a commemoration of the birthday of Noah Webster and emphasize the importance of learning while using dictionary skills and increasing one's vocabulary. It was in 1806 that American Noah Webster published his first dictionary, a compendious dictionary of the English language. It's also National Liqueur Day and Get Smart About Credit Day, and then National Department Store Day lends itself well there. National Bosses Day and Get to Know Your Customers Day, and it's National Sports Day. Our quote of the day: when we pray, the voice of the heart must be heard more than that proceeding from the mouth. Saint Bonaventure. And our saint of the day is Saint Hedwig. You're listening to Crusade Channel News.
This is a pixel. I'm Groot. If you put a couple of million of these guys together, you can make a sentence on an LED screen. Put a couple of billion of them together, and you can make a whole page. Put 360 billion, and you've got Joseph Pierce's A History of True England. But it doesn't smell like a history of true England, and it burns teeny little holes in your cornea. So, is the pixel really your friend? I'm Groot. No Groot, but the Founders Trading Post is your friend. And we have actual books with actual smelly pages. Plus, our little bookstore has everything you'd expect. I'm Groot. Yep, we got Sacred Heart flags, Groot. But no to the One Tree Hill sappy guitar music.
Pick up a copy of Joseph Pierce's True History of England, plus a dozen other Joseph Pierce titles at shop.mikechurch.com. Hey, Lee. We've known each other for a bit now. I just wonder, what do you really love to do?
I love posting civilization-saving threads on X.com, but I get so tired of outrage porn scrolling my medulla has gone oblong blanca.
Well, I know just the thing. Pour an iced Capuchin Holy Roast Coffee. Put your earbuds in and catch 2 hours of suspense. The greatest of all mystery, horror, and whodunit classic radio serials.
Perfect. While you were talking, I completely forgot who Jack Posobiec was.
Catch all 900-plus episodes of Suspense every weekday from noon to 2 p.m. East on the Crusade Channel, our app, and always on crusadechannel.com. Live talk and classic radio.
The way it should be.
His Sunday best. Mother's tired, she needs a rest. The kids are playing up downstairs. Sister's sighing in her sleep.
Wowza, I want to thank Stephen Giammarese for a massive contribution in our fundraising for our new mixing console. Thank you, Stephen, so much. Make your donation at crusadechannel.com/donate. Check your email. There was an email that was sent. Check your spam from me yesterday with a description of the mixing board and all of that stuff. It's such a wonderful thing to know that your audience, your longtime audience, just is always there when you need them. And again, we are on backup mixer here and have been for 4 weeks. 2 of those weeks were in Park City, Utah, and all that travel. 1 week is last week with the St. Benedict Center. By the way, I will have my exclusive interview with Sister Marie Gabrielle. I might be able to get it edited today and posted. I will definitely have my talk about the incredible secret history of Catholic New Orleans ready to go as a podcast later today. It will go up. And tonight we will do episode 9 of Thursday Night Throwdown. New time, 7 Eastern, 6 Central. Tonight is rivalries. Rivalries. All right, let's get back to someone who is not a rival. By the way, Arthur Bloom is with us from Arthuriana. The 10th anniversary show is November the 11th. So you were there for the first, so you have to be there for the 10th.
I'm up for it. Let's do it.
Then I can say, I'm going to try to get Chris Ferrara. I can blame Ferrara and I can blame you and others who were around. Say, this is all his fault. David Simpson will be there. You know, David. I can blame David. I can cast blame at the feet of people who were there at the very beginning. And, of course, Arthur and I go all the way back to his days as editor at the American Conservative magazine. And
I used to roll out of bed in Noma, D.C. in Northeast around 4:30 in the morning and walk over to the Sirius headquarters and guest host for you.
You did do that. That was fantastic. Whatever happened, you know, one of our old buddies, whatever happened to W. James Antle III? Where's Jim Antle at these days?
He's at the Washington Examiner. I haven't seen him in some time.
Because I think he took over for you, didn't he?
I'm not sure. When I stopped doing that, I guess Breitbart moved into the time slot, and then and I moved out to Kansas, and so I was no longer really doing too much audio.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about when you were at the American Conservative, the magazine.
Oh, yeah. Who took over as editor thereafter? I don't remember, but I moved over to the Caller for a while.
That's right.
And that's why I was able to ask so many reporters to come in as guests and also ask them to wake up early.
You were also able to carve a slot out for yours truly there. And I was there until I got in an argument with one of the subsequent opinion page editors, a gentleman who's... I'm going to give you his last name. His first name was Daniel. He and I were in an argument over something that I'm trying to remember if it was Rick Perry or if it was Greg Abbott. I'm pretty sure it was Abbott. And he was going, that's not constitutional. I'm like, well, under what grounds? And he gave me the argument. I went like, well, I'm giving you the counter argument in the piece. Yeah, but I'm going to edit it out. I'm like, no, don't edit it out. Write your own damn piece and publish it side by side. He didn't like that. He didn't want to go. And I'm like, well, screw it then. Don't publish it. And he didn't. And it had everything to do, and this is an anathema to most people. Most people refuse. They cannot wrap their head. Folks, you kids at home, you need to know this because it may come up. They cannot wrap their heads around the fact that whether you like it or not, Justice Taney made correct constitutional law, interpretation of law and application in the Dred Scott decision. You don't have to like it, but the Constitution was ratified under the terms, we get to keep slavery. That's just a fact. And if it isn't a fact, then you don't need the 13th Amendment. You certainly don't need the 14th Amendment and the Patriation Clause. So and it was over that. I'm like, no. And Dred Scott, Taney got it right. You're wrong, Daniel. And the proper reading, even though you don't like it, most people don't, and I get it. I understand it. Kevin Gutzman told me once. He reviewed a piece that I was working on It was for an audio podcast. He goes, well, if you want to be on the side of Justice Taney, you're right. Most people don't want to be on the side of Justice Taney. So the argument is correct, but I wouldn't publish it if I were you. So I published it. So that's where we are with that.
Well, if we were to try to soften that for public consumption, what we might say is the times of progressives or Democrats of having judges be the ones who who safeguard our rights or equal justice under law or these sorts of things. The time of judges taking an expansive role to do that is over. And what we might, I think that there's something optimistic about that, which is that now Democrats are going to have to believe in democracy, and they're going to have to recognize that they have to talk to people, they actually have to pass laws, and this applies to a whole host of things. A number of Roe being overturned. I mean, it's now being talked about that there will be rulings related to gay marriage and transgenderism.
Yep.
All of these things were basically intervened in by the courts in ways that the law didn't really provide for. And if a state wants to legalize gay marriage, just as if a state wants to, back then it would be like, does the state want to ban slavery? Sure. They can, and what it comes down to is the grounds for preempting that, and I think the next place this is going to be a fight is there going to be federal preemption of state abortion laws, and this is going to be a fight legally that's very much like Dred Scott and the subsequent crisis between states and the federal government over slavery. And this is one, thinking about it from a Catholic perspective, I don't even know. There would be, I think if I were like a Princeton natural law guy,
right?
The approach I might take with this might be preempted if it leads to fewer abortions overall. I don't know that because, the Pacific Northwest has very liberal abortion laws. Washington, D.C. has very liberal abortion laws. Virginia does now as of this session. Maryland does. New York does. Some states, they're very restrictive. In the Deep South, there are now, near total abortion bans. And would a federal preemption that would create something like a European abortion law, legalizing first trimester abortion and after that only under very restrictive circumstances, is it possible for the situation to hold whereby we keep it at the state level, or are we going to need to come to some sort of national consensus and pass a law which preempts all of them with something like a European compromise? And I happen to think that's a constitutional question, more than it is a question about abortion itself. And if you're an Alabamian, you are looking at, in a circumstance like that, probably a rise in the number of abortions in Alabama. In Washington State or Maryland or New York, you're looking at a reduction in the number of abortions being performed. So on net, would it lead to more or greater? I'm not sure. If that were even the grounds by which you'd decide. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say it's I think that the Dodd decision, properly understood, basically just restored before Roe. Basically, just it said no, Roe never happened, and Roe was decided incorrectly. And you can't use the 14th Amendment like that. I think that this case that Louisiana brought against the voting rights, the voting district, is going to go down in smoldering flames. Listen to the arguments. If the argument that you're going to present is the one that was presented by the Solicitor General, who is in agreement with Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, then they're in big trouble. That is a completely emotional argument based on some specious claims, namely that blacks are basically the equivalent of the American with Disabilities Act. I mean, I haven't heard anything as offensive as that in quite some time, I have to tell you. And if that is your claim, then I think that is in big trouble. I also think, to his eternal credit, Trump's going to get credit for this at someday. They are going to have to hear this ridiculous claim of birthright citizenship. And they're going to have to deal with his executive order because he's already been sued by several states on it. And that case is going to go up there. And I don't see any way that the notorious ACB can wriggle out of her participation in the Dodd decision and the other 14th Amendment case and not come to the same conclusion with birthright citizenship. So I think that's another one that goes down in flames. And like you said, you know, El Rushbo used to say this all the time. The left never won any Democratic arguments. They only won judgeships. They got the judges, they controlled the judiciary, and that's where they did all their damage. You know, if in a vacuum, if the state of California wanted to have its homo marriage law preserved and just wanted to limit it to California, that would have been one thing. But that's not what Ted Olson, the former Solicitor General of the United States, that was him. George Bush's Solicitor General is the one on behalf of Rob Reiner and all the other lunatics in California brought Obergefell to the national spotlight. They weren't satisfied with just having it in California. They wanted it coast to coast. They wanted it in all 50 states. And thanks to Justice Anthony Kennedy, they got it, right? That decision is incorrect, and Kennedy's swing vote is just an abomination. All of his swing votes are abominations, including how many children were killed by Planned Parenthood because of Casey versus Planned Parenthood and his swing vote. Because Kennedy doesn't torpedo, if he doesn't Bork, Justice Bork, that's Bork on that court. And that is a 5-4 victory in 1992 or 1993. And abortion, as we know it then, is over. It never gets to where it was. So, yeah, I'm with you on that. The Democrats are going to have to, if they survive as a party. I don't know that their survival is written in stone. There's been the events of this year. These people are stupid. It almost looks to me like they're trying to eliminate their party, and like they want, like the William Ayers, Bernardine Dorn, Students for a Democratic Socialism, which is called Americans for Democrats, so an ADS party, it seems to me.
Yeah, I think that's probably right. I mean, what is the raison d'etre of the Democrats now? I'm not really sure what it is, and right now they're casting around with a lot of these ideological concepts. I mean, the biggest of which here in D.C. is the Ezra Klein, Derek Thompson abundance agenda, which to me, that's the Democrats looking, basically becoming more libertarian. We need to consider, things like desalination plants. We need to be YIMBYs, all this stuff. And that's not where the Democrat base is. They want jobs. And there's a big conflict in the abundance agenda. I mean, right now, the abundance agenda is pitched to an upwardly mobile person in D.C., San Francisco, or New York who wants his, rent to go down and likes technology and all this stuff. That isn't where most of the country is. There aren't housing shortages in most of the country. There are in some of these places. Sure. But that is not going to supply a raison d'etre for the party. And then meanwhile, so one of the smarter things I've seen is that Democrats are starting to talk about the need for a genuine, like a party organization. Because no party in the U.S. works in the sense that you're actually a member and carry a card.
Right.
And one of my old buddies from this area, Pete Davis, had an article in The Nation about that, how the Democratic Party should become a membership organization. And that's an interesting idea. The thing is, there's already a party which is working like that, and it's probably the only school, that's teaching a lot of these young leftists how parliamentary procedure works. How to bring a motion to the floor, how to act as a group, and that's the Democratic Socialists of America.
There you go.
And so the interesting thing about that, if I could make a very bold prediction, that if the conservative movement can clean up its many criminal grifts, like Bill Bockenberg's nonprofit, and there's just so much other of this stuff. What Republicans believe is a lot more amenable to a democratic socialist that believes in industrial policy, for instance. The debates in the Federalist Papers are the parties of Washington and Hamilton versus Jefferson and Madison, right? And it's the Washingtonian party that favors a stronger central government, that favors industrial policy, that favors trade restriction, and favors immigration restriction. This is the classic Republican Party platform. And right now, the Democrats are trending in a direction of greater libertarianism. They favor immigration borderlessness, which is, coterminous with the fight about slavery. I mean, they're in favor of the importation of slaves. They're now in favor of taking down tariffs. This is quite a lot like the Democrats of years past, except, there's also a lot of kind of crazy culture war stuff. But my basic thesis here is that we're trending in a direction of realignment in the sense of the parties meaning what they used to mean. Does that make sense?
That's very interesting. I think that the way a leftard would say what you just said is they want authoritarianism. Well, authority is not bad. Your father had authority in your house. Without your dad's authority, you wouldn't have said, yes, Father, I'm setting a curfew at 10 p.m. That's authority. It's just authority, but it's not all authority is bad. When someone says authoritarianism, well, what do you mean? The authoritarianism in the household? The authoritarianism, does the schoolmaster at the school I'm paying $6,000 a semester for my kid to go to? Does he not have authority? Hollywood made a whole string of movies to destroy boys' schools. It did a pretty good job of destroying boys' schools, or what people think boys' schools were, right? Certainly Catholic boys' schools were just kneecapped by those films. Sean Penn was in one of them, the one where Al Pacino was in with the very young Chris O'Donnell. I mean, the whole goal of this was just to destroy the model and the authority of the school and the headmaster. Basically, the authority of Christ through the school to say, no, we're going to teach you this. And no, you don't get an option. Homosexuality in Playboy magazine is not an option. You don't get an option. So I think it comes down to what the definition of authority is and whether or not people can say yes to it. All right, I have to move on, but I got a final question for you, Mr. Bloom. Find Arthur hanging out or hiding in plain sight at Arthuriana on Substack. If you just go to Substack.com and type in Arthur with an I, it'll fill it in, and you can find him and subscribe to his Substack and support his work. I want to know quickly, because I think that we are one of the big things that we're in a pivotal age, and that is we're on a fight with AI. Whether you like it or not, the battle is joined. It's engaged. There's no getting out of it now. I just recently saw the film. I'm going to write a review of it. Maybe I'll do it on tomorrow's show, and I'll do a video version of it as well. Very well made, called Megan 2. They took the original Megan, and James Wan took this thing over, which tells you that Wan thought they were onto something there, but they didn't have the production value or the kind of the craftiness. This Megan is so it's over the top anti-AI. It does come to does propose a solution, if you will. But Wan has made it, and you can tell, I mean, this is like Avengers Marvel quality. this new version of Megan. I highly recommend it to everyone. Watch it. There's cursing in it. There's no sex or anything like that. There's nothing else woke in it. It really just is a story about good, black, white, good AI, bad AI. And can we have a good AI? The conclusion they come to is maybe. Is there a bad AI? Yeah, we're already stuck with it. What do we do about it? It's basically the premise of the film. Very well done. And I mean that in sincerity. You have a piece in Arthuriana about OpenAI engaging in hardball lawfare against critics about what is SB 53 in California? Can you tell us?
It's another one of these AI bills. I
Okay.
mean, what I'd say is a general question about AI. The problem, we're on the cusp of the bubble bursting. I mean, I think it's very good for ordinary citizens to be thinking through the implications of this stuff and you know, probably put limitations on, you know, your own use of some of these. But a lot of these big LLMs, I mean, if you look at how they were spun up,
okay.
You've now got Grok, which is Elon Musk's one. You've got Perplexity, there, and then the big one is OpenAI, which is close to Microsoft. And a lot of these, I think,
Google's got one too.
Yeah, Google's
G3
got one too.
or G, whatever it's called, something G.
Right, and the reason why there are so many, even though there doesn't need to be, is because a lot of these Silicon Valley guys simply can't get along, and so they're sucking up vast amounts of investment capital for these things that amount to, when you use them, if you'll pardon my French, BS engines, and and so, you know, there are actual uses for AI for a number of things which are not large language models. Another one might be coordinating drone swarms. That's another pretty obvious one. But instead, you know, in commercial Silicon Valley, what we're getting is these enormous LLM companies, which are vastly overvalued, which drive up energy costs, and which are sucking up all this investment capital. It doesn't benefit anybody, and we're starting to see it. And so, you know, if the use of this stuff, what it is it's a little bit like, you know, you're sitting there, you know, on your boogie board at the beach, and it's the wave that's supposed to be pushing you toward the shore that's going to drive up the amount of computing that's being done, because it's the LLMs, you know, thinking as they come up with an answer to your prompt, and the problem is, you know, right now there are physical constraints to the expansion of this. One is rare earth metals, and then the other is power generation. What a lot of these guys in SV were thinking about doing, what they were hoping they could do with Trump, is put together enormous data center infrastructure deals powered by nuclear power, and that we could bring on rare earth supply chains, you know, lickety split. And that has not materialized. The big one is the Stargate project, which Masa Son, Elon Musk, and a couple of others were talking about at the beginning of the Trump administration. That has not materialized. And then also China's shutting down some of their rare earth stuff, and the new mines have not yet come online in Greenland. So there's going to be a pause, and that pause is going to be potentially fatal, I think, for a lot of these AI companies and a number of Silicon Valley VCs in general. That would be my guess.
A very interesting take. We're going to leave it there. Were you right about this? Because I think you got my attention. I think you should. Will you do a piece for us on this?
Yeah. I'll send you a couple things I've already written about it.
Oh, thank you very much. That's great. Arthuriana, everybody. J. Arthur Bloom or Arthur Bloom. You can find him again on Substack, and that's Arthuriana. And, dude, we'll see you, let's see here, in 2 weeks, and I'm going to book you in for November the 11th. I'll send you an invite.
Sounds good. See you then.
Yeah, and make sure you take good care of little John now. Are you expecting?
For sure. He's going to get so fat this winter you won't believe it.
That's fantastic. All right, brother. It's always great to see you. Thank you so much.
Yep. Bye-bye.
All right. That's Arthur Bloom there, Jay Arthur. I think he's right about that. Magdalene, you heard all of what Maggie needs a little moment to get your. Okay. You heard all of what Jay Arthur just said about AI and about Stargate and all that. Do you have anything to add? You concur? Do you digress?
I think with AI, the one thing I will say is that a lot of younger people feel like AI is nowhere near where people think it is. Like when you see an AI commercial on Instagram, you still know that's what it is. So where people are like, we're going to get rid of millions of jobs in 2 years and we're going to integrate AI. I recently had to go through AI just to return something for Amazon, and it was a complete nightmare. So I really doubt AI is going to be pushing out millions of people very soon.
Well, I can only tell you, and I relayed this from my own personal experience, that, and I did what Arthur said. I took some AI stuff that I was using and was doing and just tapped the brakes, back off. AI formulating your plans that you should be discussing with human beings is a bad idea. And I even think in some instances that it's been programmed almost to get you to do things that are beneficial to social media companies or to other companies that have stock in thing. So I think that there is a Trojan horse that is buried in the ChatGPT code and the other ones that is literally, Magdalene, trying to get people to do things through other companies and entities that they otherwise would not do. So in other words, it's basically a paradigm shift that's being forced upon people that they otherwise would not have agreed to. And guess who it benefits? Like Arthur just said, Silicon Valley bigwigs.
Yes. I mean, this is one of the criticisms that people have for J.D. Vance as well, which I think will play a role in 2028. Vance has been overtly funded by Silicon Valley, including Peter Thiel. The majority of his money in the Ohio Senate race came from Silicon Valley in different ways through different PACs. So for people in 2028, one of the main differences is going to be someone like Ron DeSantis or Pete Hegseth. They're not super pro-AI. They want to integrate it where they can, but it's not their personality. That's the difference between them and Vance.
I want to play a soundbite for you from your favorite member of the Trump administration. We'll get your comment on it. That is Russ Vought, who was on Real America's Voice talking about the government shutdown. This is, I think, probably if this thing is going to drag on, and it looks to me like it's going to, because I don't think that the Republican Party believes that it needs to make a deal.
They're going to do the 10th vote in just a few minutes.
Or they're getting ready to do another vote right in just a few minutes, the 10th vote to end the stalemate on the government shutdown. I think this one is going to go down in flames as well. And then I had the big question for you, but here's Russ Vought yesterday.
The people that are doing essential services are not getting paid. So you may have border patrol, you may have air traffic control, the military, obviously, although we're fixing that by playing budgetary twister to find a pot of money that has a similar purpose that we can pay them. Mm-hmm. And so it does have an impact on how long this can go without having severe repercussions. And we don't want air traffic control to start staying home sick. So we want to get out of the shutdown. We want to do what's necessary to get the government open. We've put forward a very simple proposition, which is continue at current levels, and which is a CR. And they have put forward $1.5 trillion in demands. I mean, they've said, all right, the entire title of the One Beautiful Bill has to be repealed. And then we want all manner of expansions to continue of Biden health care policy that have largely been riddled with fraud. And they said they also want us to repeal our rescissions, which would get us back in the public broadcasting business with Corporation for Public Broadcasting. And they want us back in the foreign aid business so that we essentially reopen USAID. And so the magnitude of their demands is madness. And so we're trying to get that out to the American people. And I think it will start to bite, unfortunately, in the days ahead. But thankfully, we've paid for the military, law enforcement, and border, and they'll get their paychecks.
Did you know that I guess in the Schumer right AOCite, Bernie Sanderite counter proposal that we're going to reinstate all of USAID and all this. And now it makes total. I must confess, I did not read the 55-page counter proposal. But I will take Russ Vaught at his word. And if that's what's on the dais, I think the longest government shutdown was the one in 1996, if I remember, when Bill Clinton was president. Of course, he got Monica Lewinsky out of that. We didn't get. I think this one is going to break the record. And if the Democrats think that that's what they're going to take to the American people, you can have flight controllers and other, like, quote, essential services, close quote, or you can have over $1 trillion funneled to foreign bad actors through USAID. I think the people are going to choose, if you get the messaging, are going to choose the ATCs.
I did know about that, and I think that one of the things that Democrats have been pushing sort of covertly is that they want USAID re-put together. And Trump has made it very clear, as has Marco Rubio, who's really done a full audit of that department now. They're not going to do it. They're not going to give an inch on it. And AOC has been saying that they have certain things that are non-negotiable now. They must have a return of public funding. They must have health care funding where they want it. She's become the de facto leader of the House of Representatives for the Democrats. Hakeem Jeffries may not be willing to admit that, but when you see her holding caucus meetings and he's yelling at Speaker Johnson in the foyer, you see the difference in leadership here. And Speaker Johnson's even said Hakeem Jeffries is really not stepping up. He's dodging invitations for discussion. He's dodging people trying to speak with him. He's going to a place of rage. I think Democrats are so leaderless that AOC is stepping into that vacuum and pushing the entire caucus further left.
Okay, stay on that subject then. Maggie, play number 20. We think that AOC is counting votes behind the scenes so that she can be elected minority leader. Here is now if you listen, number 20. If you listen to the discussion twixt her and Bernie Sanders at the town hall in Shut Down America, why she's denying it, she's so forcefully denying it, she is confirming it.
But are you saying that Senator Schumer should not be worried about a primary challenge from you?
I mean,
all right.
No.
Let me jump in on this one. This is
what we're talking about.
That's exactly what we're talking about.
This is what we're talking about.
You have a country that is falling apart. We had a housing crisis, a healthcare crisis, an education crisis, massive income and wealth inequality, a corrupt campaign finance system, and the media says, "Oh, you're going to run? What are you going to run for?" Nobody cares. She'll run more towards
Nobody cares. It's the House Speaker and President Trump and the Vice President saying it.
All right.
Pardon?
Well, of course, they're saying it to deflect attention away from the real issue.
Exactly.
And here, let me tell you what the real issue is. Let's see if CNN talks about it. We're living in the richest country in the history of the world, right? All right, you tell me why we're the only nation not to guarantee health care to all people, the only nation not to guarantee paid family and medical leave, why we have a $7.25 an hour minimum wage, why we have 800,000 people sleeping out on the street, why we have a president who denies the reality of climate change.
What's with the creepy hands?
Why we have oligarchs on top who have more and more power every day. Let's talk about that issue, not her own political future. She'll decide that.
That to me is, yep, I'm running and I'm trying to become speaker or leader of the minority wing of the party in the House of Representatives.
That is what that is. And like Bernie Sanders can list all the nonstop liberal talking points he wants. He then says she can decide her own political future. He doesn't say that that's not happening. He doesn't condemn it, even if it was going to happen. It's a complete runaround. And I think Democrats have to understand that when you elevate AOC, when they put her on the cover of Rolling Stone with her and some of the members of the squad and Nancy Pelosi, I knew then that they had absolutely no control of what was happening. And they did that, I think, in 2019 after she'd been elected in midterms. They had no idea what she was going to do. You can't tell people that the future of the party is someone like AOC, which they've done either inadvertently or overtly for years, and then be surprised when that person wants to take over a leadership position. Nancy Pelosi picked a loser in Hakeem Jeffries. Democrats would be better off finding a moderate and replacing him now.
Yeah, I think that AOC, Alexandria, I think she actually thinks that she can do it, and Bernie Sanders with the creepy, lanky arms, and we gotta have all this universal health care is in every other country on the planet. Why are they all sneaking in here to get our health care, Magdalene?
Well, because we're willing to give it to them. I mean, that's really the truth. We're willing to do it. If we stopped being willing, they would stop coming for that.
True that. And by the way, ERISA and all the other act, no one is being turned away. No one is dying out in the parking lot of hospitals because they don't get medical care. I'm not going to say, unfortunately, that's the case, because I think that there is something to be said against the way healthcare is currently delivered. Quickly, Fetterman out there, I want to try to get out here early, so Fetterman out there saying things that are making more sense, and he's sounding more and more like a Republican every day, so much so that Eric Doherty is claiming that the Democrats are going to run a challenger, or they want to challenge Fetterman. Well, they're going to have to wait 2 more years, because Fetterman was elected in 2022, right?
Yes. Well, if they do that, I mean, having lived in Pennsylvania during that election, I will tell you, John Fetterman was a phenom. He could not be stopped. And we had Dave McCormick running against him. We had Oz. We had all these people who were trying to stop him during that election. It could not be done. He connects with people on a level that I don't see in many Democrats. And I remember actually my husband saying to me, because I didn't really get the John Fetterman thing, but he was like, no, like men love him. Men just get him. It doesn't matter if he's a Democrat or a Republican. He's like a dude's dude. If he is primaried or they try to replace him, the anger and the loss that Democrats will have in Pennsylvania, a state that is already swinging much more right, is going to be a problem. And I would be very interested to see how Josh Shapiro comes down on that. Josh Shapiro, the governor of Pennsylvania, is a realist. I very much doubt he would back a challenge to Fetterman.
Another thing that is happening, we talked with Jay Arthur about the demise of the Charlie Kirk story being on the front page. J.D. Vance filled in for Charlie again yesterday. Apparently, I guess this is how they're going to do this. This is not a long-term solution, though, to fill Charlie's shoes with a rotating band of guest hosts. I don't know how long Salem Broadcasting is going to go for that, but in any event, Maggie, just one more. The angry one from J.D., 18. This is Vance talking about everyone wants to know who killed Charlie. Everyone wants to know who was in on the conspiracy. I think that what we really, and we want to know too, okay, and maybe someday we shall find out. But I think at the end of the day, consider what it is that leftist and violent rhetoric and ideology has actually done. This is just a continuation, if you will, of the cult of death, except it was committed against one particular family. But I think when you think about the TPUSA family at large, especially given Charlie's age, well, a father figure, a leader, was taken away from a movement of hundreds of thousands of people. That's the crime. Here's JD.
To talk about this, but I'm gonna say it. But a buddy of mine, and this is what drives home how angry I get at the people celebrating Charlie's death, and how really one-sided it is that you have people actually celebrating the murder of a dear friend, of a guy who was a leader to so many people. But I was talking to another mutual friend, actually. He was the guy sitting to my left at dinner a couple of nights ago at the vice president's residence. So I won't reveal who it was publicly, but he told me that he had called Erica about a week or so after Charlie died, and he could hear Charlie's daughter say, "Where's Daddy?" like 6 times during this very brief phone call. And I think all of us have had these moments where, yes, we love Charlie and we loved his ideas and we loved what an important voice he was. You know, he's a necessary part. It says the White House right behind you guys, right? We're right here at the White House complex. We wouldn't be here without Charlie. But most tragically, they took a very loving husband away from a wife, and they took a very loving father away from 2 kids. And that is, to me, the great tragedy of this moment. We can't forget that.
And I think that is, I think that is the great tragedy. And he also was removed, as I said, from all of those at TPUSA who needed him as a leader, and they don't have him anymore.
Well, that's true. They don't have him as a leader anymore. And I think one of the things that we have sort of suffered from is that Candace Owens pushed a lot of controversy around Charlie Kirk's death. And I think in the midst of that, we got into a discussion about her, not just us, but people within conservatism. And we missed the point of why he was murdered. And that was leftist trans ideology infected somebody, whether it was because he was trans, or he was with a trans lover, whatever it was. And that, coincidentally, was the thing Charlie was the most concerned about politically throughout this country. He was talking about it when he was assassinated. So when Vance is talking about the sort of human loss there to children who don't have a father anymore, I think we should focus more on that, because the sort of like endless conspiracies, it only benefited the left. It didn't benefit conservatives.
Yeah, and then there was a press conference yesterday in the Oval Office, and they were talking about law and order and about the 6,000 illegal firearms, 23,000 violent criminals. Operation, what's it called, Hot Summer? Summer Heat is a success. And then finally, the question that I thought had the most teeth in it was when Trump was asked about why don't you just wait for those boats? It's number 3, Maggie. Why don't you just wait for the drug boats to get into territorial waters and the Coast Guard can investigate and the Coast Guard can do this? And Trump goes, because, and you're stupid, because. And his answer is just, I think it's just brilliant.
Venezuelan boats. I want to ask you, why not have the Coast Guard stop them, which it is empowered by law to do? You know, this way you can confirm who's on the boat and ensure that they're doing what you suspect.
Because we've been doing that for 30 years, and it has been totally ineffective. They have faster boats. Some of these boats are seriously, I mean, they're world-class speedboats, but they're not faster than missiles. But we've been trying to do that for years, and so much of the drugs, 25-30%, would come in through the seas. Right now we have, I would say, none coming in through the seas. In fact, I don't know about the fishing industry. If you want to go fishing, a lot of people aren't deciding to even go fishing. We've almost totally stopped it by sea. Now we'll stop it by land.
Magdalene, that is the kind of an answer that I'm here for 4 years. F you. I don't care. We tried your Coast Guard way. It doesn't work. We bombed them back into the Stone Ages, and now the seas are clear. Now we'll move on to the land. That's how you lead.
That is how you lead. And I think Democrats get uncomfortable when Republicans feel good about being in power. Like, if you think about it, we're always in an apologetic stance because we rarely win the popular vote. So Republican presidents, by default, kind of know that. And they're thinking, well, we're just going to be unpopular presidents. That's kind of the ethos. That's not true now. Trump has become a cultural icon. He's become someone that's cool, at least for the vast majority of young men in this country, or men in general. So Trump is no longer apologizing for being a Republican president and accepting that he's always going to be hated. He's having fun. And the most dangerous thing for Democrats is a Republican with a good team, having fun, who's a little more right-wing.
Yeah, I agree. All right, Magdalene, happy birthday today.
Thank you.
Have a joyous and wonderful birthday celebration occasion. We will see you tomorrow for a Free Phone Friday.
Thank you.
Folks, that does it for us today. A brand new Moms, Murders, and Mysteries. This is episode number 11. These episodes just keep getting better and better as the team comes together and gels. This is highly unlike anything the Crusade Channel has ever done. And if you're into true crime, you're going to love Moms, Murders, and Mysteries. This week's episode is episode number 2 of the investigation into the Jeff Davis 8. There is another episode that will come up next week. And then for Halloween, boy, do we have a show for you guys. And if you loved the Deliver Us from Evil tapes, you're... look, you need to make sure that you go to... this is extra credit work, by the way. So find Moms, Murders, and Mysteries on Apple Podcast and Amazon and Spotify, but primarily on Apple. Subscribe to it there. Now, I want you to get it as part of your Crusade Channel membership, Because when the show ultimately becomes popular, and I think that there are hundreds of thousands of true crime fans out there that would actually love this show, then you will get first dibs as a Founders Pass member, and then the episode will get released, like it's called a drip effect, a week later for everyone else. So subscribe to it on Apple Podcasts. Almost all of you have the Apple Podcast app. Find Moms, Murders, and Mysteries. Give it the 5-star rating, even if you don't like it. And then for extra credit, leave a comment. But I really think if you enjoy any of that investigation, discovery, true crime stuff, you will love the Moms, Murders, and Mysteries. Of course, your favorite radio host plays a small part in it. And, of course, Maggie and her mom play the other parts. And it's just it's kind of a different take on true crime and the investigation. So check it out. We're going to air the episode in about 40 minutes, episode number 11. Tonight, episode number 9, Thursday night throwdown. The topic is rivalries. Don't tell me you don't have a rivalry. No one is not showing up tonight because they don't have a rivalry or know of one, or even have one that they're passionate about and have one that they follow. So that I will see 6 of you tonight with rivalries and all the rest of you in the chat room. CrusadeChannel.com/chat. 11 chatters are not going to cut it. I have some of your personal phone numbers. I'm going to give Maggie some of the numbers. I'm going to give Jeff Johnson, main man Jeff, some of the numbers. We are going to blow your phones up. Pour yourself a drink. Pour yourself a drink. Turn the damn television off and whatever crap it is you're watching, and tune in to Thursday Night Throwdown and come and hang out. No, we're not going to talk politics. We're just going to hang out and have a great time. Thursday Night Throwdown tonight, 7 Eastern, 6 Central, new time. 7 Eastern, 6 Central, new time. 7 Eastern, 6 Central, new time. See you all tonight. Continue making your contributions, and thanks to all of you who did. Especially check your email for a very special invocation and appeal from me to you as well for the new mixing console, which the Crusade Channel desperately needs. Thanks to all of you. Happy birthday to Magdalene again. And Tom Connolly, our big birthday-ers today. We will see you tonight or we'll see you just in a little bit, actually, for, how did I misspell that? Moms, Murders, and Mysteries, episode number 11, right here on the Crusade Channel. God bless you, and Mary keep you.